everyone, welcome back to Beyond the Veil Tarot and Astrology. My name is Candice Marie and I'll be your astrologer this month. This is going to be the horoscopes for the 12 rising signs. I'm so excited to spend February with you guys. I hope you're doing well. And I've got some sweet news for February. So if you don't know me, it's nice to meet you. My name is Candice. I'm a Western astrologer. I like to incorporate tarot as well as the Sabian symbols to make sense of what's going on in the cosmos. And thank you guys so much for joining me. I'm going to get some shameless plugs out of the way really quick by talking about the offerings for this month. Now, my friends, we are in February, but in March, we are going to be starting eclipse season. I can't believe it's already coming up so soon. So just a big heads up, you're gonna start feeling some things changing and kind of happening in regards to the incoming eclipses next month. So I wanted to let everybody know that you should sign up for my newsletter. I promise I will not spam you. I am actually creating all kinds of new webinars on some big up-and-coming astrological transits. Things like the spring eclipses, which will be taking place in March, as well as the Venus retrograde in Aries, and also Saturn and Neptune's ingress into Aries. So this is new astrology. We've got new stuff to talk about. Please head over to my website at beyondtheveiltarot.com. I'm working on all of this stuff and I'm going to be putting it out kind of in chunks over the next 2 months. So if you would like to pick up some of these webinars, sign up for my newsletter and you will be alerted as to when they are available. Now, it's not often that I do specials, but I generally do specials for Valentine's Day for February. So I'm actually offering you guys 15% off all of my Synastry readings if you book your reading in the month of February. You're getting $49 off the total price of a Synastry reading, and I can talk all about your chemistry, how you work with another person, taking a look at you and your partner's astrology in a live one-on-one Zoom call. So if you guys would like to do that, openings are actually beginning in April and May. I'm almost always booked out 2 to 4 months at a time, so it is crazy on my end. But this is valid if you buy a Synastry reading in February. So anytime until the end of February, you can pick up that 15% off. Now, if you guys like my work and you want to see more of it, make sure you click the bell button below, subscribe to the channel so you're alerted as to when I have new videos coming out. I'm always here on Tuesdays, Thursdays, Fridays, and Sundays putting out videos. I'm a full-time content creator. Please consider joining my YouTube memberships if you would like to support me as a content creator. And obviously with a level 3 membership, you're gonna get a reading during one of my live Fridays where I do tarot or astrology readings. Equally, if you feel like giving me some love this month, you can scan the QR code right up there. You can give me a tip in my digital tip jar. All of the tips are gonna go towards me being able to create more content for you guys. And I have lots of new ideas for things coming up in February. So make sure that you guys continue to support me. Or you can just like this video, click the thumbnail below, give me a thumbs up and like or leave me a comment. I love coming back at the end of the month and reading all of your guys' comments. I cannot get back to all of them, but I do read them and I get a good chuckle when you guys come back at the end of the month and you're like, this is crazy, these things are actually happening. So thank you guys so much for your likes, your comments, your shares, and your subscriptions to my channel. Please also join me during one of my lives on Fridays. I will be doing live readings at 6 o'clock p.m. Central Time. We alternate between tarot and astrology. I always post the link before the live, so if you would like to get into the queue and you know that you want to get a reading, maybe you want to ask a question about a natal aspect in your chart or something in regards to timing and even synastry, I do those on my live shows. And if you'd like to book a personal reading with me, I do have openings for new clients. I'd love to work with you. If you're looking for a special date for a wedding or for a business launch, maybe you're wanting to relocate and look at astrocartography, get a birthday reading or a natal chart reading, I do it all. So head over to my Beyond the Veil website at beyondtheveiltarot.com. You guys can see all of my availability. You can book live. I always have my books open, and you'll get a link with a live call for us to kind of chat in the future. So make sure you check that out. And like I said, openings are kind of beginning in like the end of April going into May right now. So if you know that you're an Aries, a Taurus, or a Gemini, and you'd like a reading, make sure you get your readings in so you can get it in time for your birthday. I also offer gift certificates if you're wanting to give them as a gift. I still have my February 2025, my 2025 calendars out that are in general. So if you guys would like to pick up a personal calendar for all the transits for the year, you can get that on sale on my website. You can also get the printed calendars that does like a whole overview for each month on each of the 12 signs, as well as in 2025, we have a 3-card tarot reading that you get every month. You scan the QR code and you get a reading from me. So lots of goodies. Check it out, especially if you want to give something to someone for Valentine's Day. It can be some fun gifts. All right, so shameless plugs out of the way. Those of you guys who have been with me for a long time, you guys know that my lists are incredibly long with transits. But you know what? February, it's a short month. It's going to be short. It's going to be sweet. We don't have as many transits taking place this month. March is really kind of the big month for when we're going to see lots of stuff going on. So this is going to be the list of the transits that I'm going to be going over for each of the 12 rising signs. If you guys want to see a deeper dive in February and everything that I think about some of the aspects and how that can be impacting us kind of collectively, watch the last Sunday show that I'm going to have for my astro weather at the end of January, and you guys will get that overview. But I'm really going to be talking to you guys how this is going to be impacting you in your day-to-day. Now, we've got some planets that are going to be going direct this month, which is really good news because we have had Jupiter retrograde in the sign of Gemini. It has maybe been squashing a little bit of the growth or the optimism or the positivity for some of us. So Jupiter will now be going direct, and we're actually going to see that right at the beginning of the month on the 4th of February. So you want to look at which house Gemini is. Now you'll be able to experience a little bit more growth, optimism, maybe even travel and better communication. And this is really important, especially since now the North Node is in Pisces. So the traditional ruler of Pisces obviously is Jupiter. So we're going to see this also positively impacting the area of Pisces in your chart. On the 23rd of the month, finally, the Mars retrograde is going to come to an end. It has been crabby, to say the least. There has definitely been some power struggles and things going on with some of the aspects that Mars has been making in its opposition to Pluto along the way. But on the 23rd of the month, we are going to see Mars go direct in the sign of Cancer. So you know what? Good news for those of you guys who really want some forward motion. Keep in mind that we are still going to be seeing both Jupiter and Mars in the shadow. So they're going to go direct, but they're still not kind of out of the degrees in which they turned retrograde in, which means they're kind of sleepy. They're still waking up. So can there be much more action going on now with Mars direct? Yes, especially in the Cancer area of your chart. Loving some of the aspects we're seeing actually between planets in Pisces and the North Node in Pisces, making trines to Mars. So it is emotionally driven, emotionally passionate, taking action with a little bit of heart and a little bit of soul. Obviously good news for those of you guys who are ruled by Mars. Now for retrogrades this month, there are none once these two planets go direct, which is actually really good news. There is a small, and I mean we're talking teeny tiny, period of time where we are going to have all planets direct. As you guys know, in March, we're going to see at the beginning of the month, Venus will turn retrograde and Mercury will go retrograde alongside Venus. So we've got February 23rd to the 28th, that 5-day period where all planets are direct. This is good news. I'll take the wins when we can get them. This basically means that the universe is saying we proceed forward, we can kind of get some stuff done. However, with that being said, we still have planets that are in shadow. So while Jupiter and Mars just woke up, we're getting ready to see at the beginning of March, Mercury and Venus are going to turn retrograde. I put this out there because as of the end of January, Venus is in her shadow. So if you are somebody who is wanting to make a big budget purchase, if you are wanting to get married, get engaged, buy jewelry, if you're planning a wedding, a fancy expensive trip, things like that, anything cosmetic, guys, trust me when I tell you, this Venus retrograde shadow in the pre-shadow, it's in Aries. So I would not recommend doing any of these things until actually the latter part of April going into May. Let's wait until Venus is direct, especially when Venus gets back into Pisces, she'll be exalted. Maybe wait until Venus gets into Taurus. So be very, very careful with relationships and finances this month, because you guys might start seeing some of that shadow effect coming up where there can be some issues. And as you guys know, Mercury and Venus are actually turning retrograde around the same degree as the solar eclipse that will be happening at the end of March in the sign of Aries. So it's all kind of saying like we're making plans, but they're going to get rearranged, reworked. They're going to kind of be reevaluated. And we can kind of act a little preemptively and then regret some of the stuff that we do that can be ruled by Venus, love, money, beauty kind of stuff. So 23rd through the 28th, still a really nice slice of time where we can get some stuff done. As for lunations for the month, we're going to be seeing on February the 12th, we're going to have a big old full moon in Leo. So it is going to be quite dazzling with the square to Uranus. I think that there can kind of be some unexpected things that can be happening from that full moon. So be mindful of that, especially if you have anything 23 to about 25 degrees of Leo in your chart. Then we will see on February 27th, there will be a new moon in Pisces. Now, this is not an eclipse, guys. It's not close enough to the North Node for it to be a solar eclipse. Fun fact, none of the Pisces eclipses will be solar eclipses. All of them will be lunar eclipses. So that's why we're still kind of like, what's happening? There's this like funky final solar eclipse in March in Aries. We've got the lunar eclipse that's going to be in Virgo. But why I think this is important is it's still in the same sign as the North Node. It's in the same sign where Saturn is. And actually, this new moon in Pisces will become a lunar eclipse in the fall of this year. Beautiful. If you guys haven't looked at that chart, go look at that chart. It's going to be trine an exalted Jupiter in Cancer. So I really want you guys to work with this new moon because I feel like it can be very optimistic and it can provide a lot of growth emotionally and spiritually over the next 6 months. It's at a 9. So if you have anything 8, 9, 10 degrees of Pisces, it might be a little bit more potent for you guys. And it's going to obviously be traditionally ruled by Jupiter, and it will be in a square to Jupiter. So I'm predicting that this is a new moon that's asking us to spiritually grow, to envision, to believe, to pray, to visualize, do all of your vision boarding, your meditation, all that stuff. And we have to believe that we are able to start seeing some of this growth. Might have us in our feelings because obviously moon square Jupiter can kind of make us a little bit more emotionally reactionary, but I feel like it's going to make most of us pretty optimistic about the future. So make sure that you do something special on that new moon. Now, in terms of the rest of the transits this month, we're going to be seeing in terms of ingresses. This is when planets change signs. We've only got a couple. February 4th, Venus ingresses into Aries. So I'm curious to see what kind of goes on here. Like I said, Venus is not entirely happy when she is in a Mars rule sign. She's kind of trading in all of her pearls and her shells for her armor and her sword. And she's definitely a little bit more feisty and dynamic, sometimes even combative when it comes to love and money in this sign. Now, obviously, if you're an Aries sun, moon, or rising, or if a natal Venus in Aries, maybe it's better for you. You might even get a couple Venus returns in the mix next month. But you guys will be feeling that, especially my Taurus and my Libra risings. But Venus going into Aries means that we have to fight for what we love. And I think that that's going to be the theme for the next couple of months. It can be great for self-love. It can also be about taking action in our relationships. So watch for that ingress and remember that Venus is in shadow here. So whatever she's going through in Aries in your chart, she's going to kind of get worked out in a couple weeks. Now on the 14th of the month, we are going to see that Mercury is going to change signs and Mercury is going to go into the sign of Pisces. As you guys know, the South Node's in Virgo, so we got to watch what's going on with Mercury, and Mercury transits happen pretty quick. Mercury does not do very well in Pisces. Obviously, this is a water sign, a mutable water sign. Great for intuition, great for divination, meditation, maybe studying, spirituality, learning foreign languages, traveling. But I find that with Mercury in Pisces, it's difficult because it's hard to express how we're feeling. It's hard to find the words. So communication can be a little confusing. It can be a little, cloudy, foggy. You can have some memory issues. And there can definitely be some miscommunication stuff with Mercury in this sign. Now, on the 18th of the month, we're going to see the sun ingress into Pisces. So for the first 3 weeks, we're going to be in Aquarius season. But when we get to the 18th of the month, then we're moving into Pisces season. So those of you guys who are February Aquarians, happy birthday. And my February Pisces, happy birthday to you guys. Sun in Pisces is going to be an interesting one because we have a freaking Pisces party in the sky. It is wet, it is emotional, it's sensitive, very intuitive, and sometimes we feel like we need to retreat. So as you guys know, all these planets are dancing with the North Node, and at the beginning of the month, the North Node's conjunct Neptune. So February kind of kicks off kind of dreamy, sensitive, receptive, but definitely some of us feel lost. Some of us feel exhausted. We are confused. Some of us are also kind of working through some confusion or misunderstandings. So if you're feeling that sluggishness, you can blame all the planets in Pisces. It's okay. I give you permission to do that. Now, at the beginning of the month, on February 1st, you're going to see Venus conjunct the North Node and Neptune in Pisces. Let's talk pros. Take your selfies, use your filters, lace and things that are sheer, stuff that's beautiful, things that are very sensual, music, magic, spirituality, feeling into emotions. That's really what this is going to be about. Negative is like, you guys got to know how to spot a scam. There's going to be some financial fishiness. There's going to be some ghosting going on in relationships. There's going to be some things that are going to be secretive and hidden. Pisces is what is hidden and going on behind the scenes. And as you guys know, there will be retrogrades going from Aries into Pisces. So there will be things happening at the beginning of February that we either can't understand, we can't comprehend, we don't know what's going on. It just seems like totally Looney Tunes. And then we get through March and it's all being revealed to us where there was some kind of deception or where there is some need to evolve collectively on a spiritual level, to see the higher meaning, the higher purpose, to come together, to be compassionate, considering of others, to forgive, to also heal. So, we're going to see both sides of the spectrum on this one. I feel like, Venus, as it's conjuncting Neptune and the North Node at the same time, is very unusual. We only see this North Node conjunction with Neptune roughly, I think, every 17 years or something. But for Venus to be there that day, take note of what you love. Take note of what inspires you. Try to be generous and give to those in need. We want to love in a very unconditional manner, right? That's really what Pisces wants to do. So where can you love someone, something, or be a little bit more generous or compassionate in the Pisces area of your chart? That's what I recommend doing on February the 1st. Now, you'll feel the conjunction between the North Node and Neptune probably the end of January, probably all the way through about the 6th or the 7th of February. So it'll linger for a little bit. Then on the 9th of February, we're going to see the sun conjunct Mercury in Aquarius. Now, this is going to be a Mercury cazimi. As you guys know, this is a transit that is all about having some kind of download. Mercury is basically conjuncting the sun in superior position. So this means that he's relaying a message to the king. This can be some big announcement. This can be some epiphany. You can have a download. You can have a significant synchronicity or a dream or a conversation or just a breakthrough. I love these days for carrying around a notebook, jotting down some notes, maybe doing some dream interpretation. So make sure you look at where Aquarius is in your chart because this might be some kind of lucky news or information that's coming up. And as I said, Mercury rules the South Node. So it might be about something from the past coming back, past conversation, past people, or something that's been missing that maybe is found. Now, on the 10th of the month, we're going to see Mercury in Aquarius square Uranus and Taurus. So this is interesting that right after we come out of the cazimi, then, a day or two later, we are going to see some kind of uncomfortable communication, some breakdown in communications. Mercury in Aquarius wants to talk about the future. It wants to be optimistic. It wants to kind of get everybody together and get on the same page, especially for humanity. And when Mercury squares Uranus and Taurus, it means that there is a lot of nervous tension. There can be some conflict of ideas. We're hitting some roadblocks. We're not as mentally open to change. And this could actually be some issues revolving around banking and finances because Uranus is in Taurus. So think like shocking crypto news, unexpected issues with transactions, being able to get money in and out of a bank account, being able to get money on and off of an exchange. Issues with electricity, you know, shocks and surprises and how that can kind of impact our resources or our values. So definitely not a day that I would be traveling, planning travel, that I would be trying to sign contracts, trying to kind of go on trips, because there's going to be some stress and some tension involved with this aspect. Then the very next day on February 11th, we are going to see then the sun come through the same square to Uranus in Taurus. So this is interesting because Uranus is the dispositor of the sun. Uranus is traditionally associated with Aquarius. So honestly, these two transits, because Mercury and the sun follow side by side, are really probably going to be happening on both days. So the 10th and the 11th are the days where you're going to see that there is going to be some friction or there is some conflict or something that is inhibiting you from being able to make changes physically or financially. You know, Sun square Uranus days, especially because this is a closing square, it means that there is something that's trying to be reconciled or something that's trying to kind of be highlighted. That might be showing us where we're having some issues shaking things free in the Taurus area of our chart. Then on the 20th of the month, we are going to see Mercury in Pisces square Jupiter in Gemini. Okay, so this is interesting. We got some mutual reception here, guys. You know, Jupiter is traditionally associated with Pisces, Mercury is associated with Gemini, and they are squaring each other. So Jupiter squares make things bigger, okay? And Jupiter rules the North Node, which is all about our intuition and also our beliefs. While Mercury is associated with the South Node, and it's connected to letting go of outdated ways of communicating, thinking, changing our jobs, changing our habits, and things revolving around our routines or our health, right? So I'm anticipating with Mercury square Jupiter that this is going to be some, oh my God, what is this moment? Or I missed this information on a contract, or I didn't read the fine print, or realizing that some kind of details are maybe easily overlooked. And if we are overlooking things, then it can lead to the need to communicate better, right? Jupiter in Pisces. So Jupiter in Gemini. So ask questions. If you don't understand something, if you don't understand what an email means, if you don't understand the definition of a word, if you don't understand the contractual agreements, if there is some fuzziness or haziness in travel plans or business, you must ask questions. Otherwise, you know, it could be a day where there's just like communication overload and it's hard to kind of process and deal with everything at the same time. All right, and then we're going to see on the 25th of the month, Mercury will conjunct Saturn in Pisces. So this is sobering of the mind, right? Mercury is putting pen to the paper. It's signing the contract. It's learning the lesson, making the travel plans. And with Mercury conjunct Saturn, we must be a little bit more serious when it comes to our contracts, our agreements, our business, even what we're studying. So there might be a need to issue a boundary or maybe commit to a timeline. Obviously, with that South Node connection to Mercury, it could mean that we're like, actually, you know, I don't think I'm going to meet my timeline, you know, or I need more time, or I need more rest or recuperation. I'm just mentally feeling a little blocked, and, you know, I'm not quite ready yet to get back to you. Let me sleep on it. Let me think about it, and then I'll give you an answer tomorrow. So on one hand, Mercury, Saturn wants us to, you know, commit to something more seriously. But I think with with Mercury being in Pisces, there is an issue with being able to actually wholeheartedly commit, right? Maybe it means that we're going to need more information, more data. We need more clarity. And I would be asking for this all month long because there can definitely be some issues in being able to see the bigger picture. So, you know, obviously there's a number of squares taking place this month. There's a lot of Mercury stuff that's taking place this month. So you guys are probably just going to feel like you're having to go over things a little bit more and have a little bit more diligence when it comes to getting the details. But if you do this month, it's going to make next month a whole lot easier, and it's going to make less work for you to have to go through while we're having Mercury retrograde, Venus retrograde, while we're having eclipses. And like I said, because there are so many squares happening between Pisces and Virgos, Pisces and Gemini, it almost makes me feel like some things are going to get glossed over this month, and then we're going to go, okay, we'll go back and we'll deal with it in March. You know, we just don't have the energy, we don't have the time. Or if we are just kind of signing off on things and not thinking about the consequences or not knowing the full details pertaining to what we're agreeing to, you know, we're going to have a little bit more work that we're going to have to do, or we're going to have to backtrack in March. So I wouldn't put too much stuff off unless you guys have the time to do that. I would just make sure that you thoroughly go through anything that you're agreeing to in the Pisces area of your chart. Okay? That's it. Short, sweet month. Obviously, little bit more complex though, with just so many things that are going on with the squares. So with that being said, obviously these are going to be the February 2025 12 rising sign horoscopes for you guys. Thank you for being my Valentine and spending February with me. As a reminder, I practice tropical Western astrology. So I do not use Vedic system. I use some Vedic techniques, but I am a Western astrologer. So I'm going to be looking at it from the tropical whole sign perspectives during my presentation today. Now, to make the most of my predictions, I really recommend listening to your rising sign first. If you don't know your rising sign, head over to astro.com, plug in your birth information, your time, date, and location, cast your chart, and look at the 9 o'clock hour. That is your rising or your ascendant sign. Use the ascendant sign because it's going to tell you exactly where the planets are in zodiacal order, where they are moving through in the skies. You can listen to your sun sign. That's going to apply as well. It's really going to be pertaining more to your overall happiness, vitality, as well as your career. And generally, the sun sign is like the stuff that we want to hear, you know, but we see more of what's playing out from the ascendant. And then with the moon sign, you can listen to that as well. That's going to talk about more what you need emotionally, maybe what's going on in your private life as well as in your home life. Okay. All right. So, so we're going to now get into the 12 rising signs. I'm going to be showing you guys the chart of what's kind of going on with the month. And I will be pulling tarot cards for you as well. What's up, Aries and Aries risings? Welcome to your February 2025 horoscopes. I hope you're doing well. I bet you're happy, right? You're going to be pretty stoked by the end of the month because you're going to see Mars, your chart ruler, will be going direct. So this is really good news for you. Essentially, this means that all of the work that you have been doing in regards to your home zone is now start to become more feeling like it's complete. So with Mars having been retrograde in Cancer, there's been a lot of having to go back to the past, having to deal with home property, domestic relationship stuff, family stuff, movements, kitchen renovations, you know, moving back to be somewhere or being with family or being more attentive to your emotions and your private life. So you're actually going to see that this will be going direct around the 23rd of February. Essentially, Mars is still going to be in shadow, so keep that in mind. We're not really going to see Mars come out of shadow for a little bit. But as Mars is going direct this month, you're going to see Mars playing very nicely with a ton of planets that are in the 12th house, which could be great for setting up a meditation den, cleaning out your attic, your closets, rearranging your bedroom, establishing much more, I think, emotional patience and resilience, especially through any kind of like spiritual routines that you could be participating in. If you have been feeling a little tired, under the weather, exhausted, blame all the planets going through the 12th house. There is almost like this cocoon phase that you're going to be going through between now and April, where there is something that is getting ready to be reborn or renewed in some way. So that's going to be coming here pretty soon in the spring. Now, outside of that, let's kind of go through the ingresses that are going to happen this month. Another reason for celebration for you is that Venus, goddess of love, beauty, resources, will be moving into your sign. And this will be happening on February 4th. Now, I predict that Aries are really going to like this transit. I think you guys are going to have most all of the month of having Venus in your first house if you're an Aries rising. Venus will only get up to about 10 degrees. So if you've got anything 0 to 10 degrees of Venus, you're going to have a pretty extensive period of having Venus in your first house. So on one hand, Venus rules relationships and Venus rules money and pleasure and beauty and expensive things. So there's going to be more love coming your way, more attention. There's going to be more attention to your look, your aesthetic, Maybe you're just investing more in yourself and you're just really liking Venus visiting you. Maybe you're just liking the fact that you're getting all these extra hugs and kisses or attention from strangers. The challenge here, my Aries, is that you have to keep in mind that Venus will turn retrograde at the beginning of March. So if you're like, I'm cutting my hair off, I'm dyeing it red, please don't. I know so many of you guys are going to want to do that. I know some of you guys are going to want to shave your head, or you're going to want to do something short and a little bit more masculine, or you're going to go for the red handbag or the red boots. And then come next month, you're going to be like, why did I do this? Okay. You don't believe me? Go listen to what I told the Leos a couple years ago during the Venus retrograde in Leo. Same stuff kind of happened. So be mindful also that with Venus coming into shadow here, you might start hearing from exes, or there might be people who are reaching out to you from the past or wanting to connect with you. This could also be bringing you more clients. This could be bringing you more money, and it can bring an opportunity for you to be reassessing your style and getting feedback from other people in terms of how you look. Now, on the 14th of the month, Mercury is going to go into Pisces. And you've got your, South Node ruler and your 6th house ruler and your 3rd house ruler in the 12th. So some of you guys are going to be wanting to prepare for traveling to foreign lands. Some of you guys are getting into therapy. You're going to yoga classes. You're going to meditation classes. You're seeing a specialist. You're talking to a therapist or somebody who can kind of be helping you physically or mentally, trying to get things in order. So if you're bettering the spirit, you're bettering the body. I think that it can be very strong for dreams, very strong for intuition during this time, but you have to read all the details. Keep an eye on your pets, as there can be a need to be more attentive to them here as well. On the 18th of the month, you're going to see the sun ingress into Pisces. So it'll be moving into your 12th house, joining all these other planets there. This is the time to pause, reflect, rest, recuperate, spend some time in bed watching your favorite TV shows and snacks. This can also be you working on a creative project behind the scenes, needing a little bit more privacy, or enjoying some romance behind the scenes as well. Now you're going to see on the 4th of the month, Jupiter will station direct. So where Jupiter has been retrograde in the house of mind, communication, and learning, it's now going to move forward. So if you're like, hey, I want to plan a move, or I want to start a new course, I want to get back into writing, maybe you're getting ready to launch a website, maybe you are wanting to purchase a new car, anything like that, now you're able to move forward a little bit more freely with some of these things. On the 23rd, like I said, Mars will go direct, so your chart ruler is going to be kind of turning the for business sign on, and you're going to be feeling like you got a lot of stuff done either on the home front or emotionally. Now from the 23rd to the 28th, remember that all planets are direct. However, Mercury and Venus are in shadow, and this is important because you will see Mercury drop into Aries, and this will actually be happening in March. But with Aries, being your first house, this means that there's going to be some kind of shift happening either with your health or with your style or with your body, your appearance, or how you communicate. So just be mindful that these things are still kind of up for reevaluation next month. At the end of my list, not at the end of the month, at the end of my list, I've got February 12th, you're going to see a full moon in Leo. Okay, so this is going to be in the 5th house. Obviously, it's in a sister fire sign. So it's great for romance. It's great for gambling. It's great for big news revolving around your children, completing creative projects, especially if you're if you're working for yourself or you're self-employed. The only hang up here is that it is going to square Uranus. So it almost looks like big risk, big reward for some Aries and Aries risings. It might mean something you've been working on or building is now coming to fruition, and it could be like a big shock or surprise and some kind of opportunity for growth. Be careful with speculative investments and any risks, because it can be big risk, big reward, but there's still definitely something changing revolving around your resources at the time of this full moon. Full moons in the 5th house can also be an indication of pregnancy or some big change happening in your love life or with your children. On the 27th of the month, we're going to see a new moon in Pisces. This will be in your 12th house. It's going to be very reflective, spiritual. This is a time where if you're wanting to commit to a new spiritual routine, meditation routine, if you're wanting to start planning for a trip, if you're wanting to go back to school as well, this could be something you could consider. Some of you guys might feel like your sleep patterns or sleep habits are changing a little bit. And maybe it's because you're up watching TV too late. You know, you're reading or working into the evening hours, or you're studying into the evening hours. But this is really a beautiful new moon when it becomes a full moon in 6 months. And what it's going to do is at that time, it will trine Jupiter, which will be in your 4th house. So some of you guys are dreaming of a move. You're dreaming of a trip. You're hoping to totally revolutionize or change something about maybe your bedroom or something kind of like a hidden office space or something like that. So if you want to start doing those things this year, start envisioning it and setting the intention for that and doing that around that new moon in Pisces. For the rest of the transits this month, starting on the 1st, you're going to see that there will be a Venus North Node Neptune conjunction in the 12th house. Now, this is interesting because honestly, you know, Saturn is involved here. So, you know, Saturn is about karma. Saturn is about boundaries. It can be about also, you know, having better emotional or spiritual boundaries with people. It can be a time where you're like feeling like you need some space from a partner or a relationship, or maybe it feels as if somebody is kind of icing you out, or they're not connecting, or they're not communicating with you very well. On the other hand, it could mean that you're finally putting to rest old relationship issues. You're forgiving someone, you're closing the door, you're getting closure, you're letting something go. But like I said, you know, in this next month or so, you're going to see that kind of get reworked. Perhaps maybe there is like a dream you have about a romantic partner, or you have this vision that somebody is coming in if you're single and that you're going to meet somebody very soon. That is possible as well with that conjunction. I really encourage you with planets in the 12th house to try to be generous and help others in need. Donate time, money, services, clean out your closets, give things to those who might be, you know, homeless, or donate things, if at all possible, to those who would benefit from it, if it's something that you can potentially spare. On the 9th of the month, you're going to see the Sun conjunct Mercury in Aquarius. And to me, this looks like there is going to be some shift going on, either with one of your friends. It could be a chance run-in where you reconnect with someone. It could mean that you get some invitation to go and join a networking group. Maybe it means that you get an email or something about a group meeting at work, or that there is going to be some changes or shifts going on with team members or schedules, okay? If not, then it could just mean that you're, you know, getting some kind of an invitation to go and do something and collaborate with a friend or with a group collective. Now, you're going to see on the 10th of the month, Mercury in Aquarius, and then on the 11th of the month, the Sun in Aquarius. They will be in the 11th house of friends and allies, and they're going to start both coming into a square with Uranus. So to me, this is kind of saying something is changing, something is leveling up, revolving around your goals financially. Maybe there can be a little bit of tension, or maybe some strife or some miscommunications over budgeting, over, you know, money borrowed, money loaned. There can be some strife revolving around paying for things in a group kind of environment. It could also mean that there is a sense of not connecting or agreeing, you know, with other people when it comes to love, money, and values. So with these 2 days, the 10th and the 11th, expect the unexpected here. Sometimes you just have to agree to disagree and not create any problems that could actually impact you financially. Then you're going to see on the 20th of the month, Mercury in Pisces will then square Jupiter in Gemini. So Mercury will be in your 12th house, which is more reflective, intuitive, kind of quiet and keeping to yourself. And it's going to square Jupiter. So it means maybe that you have a hunch about something, you have an intuition about something, write it down. You have a dream that seems really symbolic, write it down. Maybe you have a good idea for a book or for a website, or maybe you're creating content or media kind of behind the scenes. You're getting ready to share this information, to teach this information. Some of you guys might have a secret, you might know something, or you're kind of waiting to have a conversation with a neighbor, a sibling, or a friend. And you're coming to that point with the square where you're like, I don't know if I can keep this inside any longer. You know, I have to tell someone. And to me, it just looks like it could be some exciting news that you want to share with another that could be worth celebrating. All right, and then on the 25th of the month, you're going to see Mercury conjunct Saturn in Pisces. So Mercury obviously deals with communication in the mind, siblings and neighbors, and Mercury deals with coworkers. Like honestly, looking at Venus hitting Saturn, looking at Mercury hitting Saturn, looking at, you know, the sun kind of nuzzling up to Saturn, It makes me feel like you are aware that there is something going on behind the scenes with work. Maybe you know that there is about to be a change in the status of a coworker, or that they're going to hire people, fire people. Maybe you are, getting ready to retire. Maybe you are getting ready to resign. There is something that's coming up where you're like, you know what? I just feel like it's time for me to just kind of put this on the shelf for a little bit and take a break. And you're just knowing that the time is coming to kind of have this conversation about something or someone. Now, with Mercury being about the mind, maybe you're going to have a closed door meeting with a boss or with a superior. Maybe you have to sit down and write something really significant. Maybe you're studying something. Maybe you're studying some health practice that is about mindfulness as well. So it would be a wonderful time to kind of commit to a meditation routine. Maybe this is a time where you're more serious about dedicating more time away from work and being in nature, or going to a retreat, or going and being in a spa. Because the 12th house can be spas. So it can mean that you're treating some of your physical ailments or exhaustion or health issues in a spiritual setting, or in a setting where you're soaking and you're kind of like detoxing. So that can be good for committing the mind to a spiritual practice, sure, but I feel like this is kind of like you going, I'm exhausted, either physically or emotionally, and you're actually needing to take time away from things, okay? That's what I've got for you for the month. Let's take a look. I mean, obviously you're going to hear some astrologers talk about how the 12th house is hidden enemies. So I do have to put that out there, that even though the 12th house, I think, can be very much about your subconscious and your sleep and your dreams and your spiritual practice, the truth is like Mercury in the 12th house, coworkers can talk shit. You can find out that there are some things that are being said or done behind the scenes, or partners are doing things or saying things behind the scenes, and you just might feel like something is off, and you're like, I have a hunch about something, what's going on here? And your gut's going to be like telling you, okay, there's something happening, and you're like, do I say something or do I not? And even if you don't say anything, if you do have a hunch, those things may potentially be coming up for you in March, okay? But really the 12th house is not taking action. So you don't need to take action, in my opinion. All right, so the card that you get is the Three of Coins. Sorry, it's kind of shiny. Three of Coins, which is a card that's about working, support, getting help from other people, being able to kind of get the job done. And so what's interesting is that, Mercury is making a lot of aspects here. It can be about coworkers. It can be about your employees. It can be about your health practitioners. It can be about the people that help support you. So if you're feeling like tired, disheveled, disorganized, like not feeling like you can get stuff done, there are people who are going to come in that are going to help you with this. This can be actually surprisingly a very productive work month, with Saturn being in the mix. And I feel like a lot of this is just you having to be like, I'm shutting my office door. Don't bother me. I'm not socializing. I've got stuff I got to get done. Like, I need to get in the zone. And you can get a lot of stuff done. So if you're needing to get stuff done this month, if you're needing to be productive, as long as you have time alone and away, you can get a lot done. Or if you have the support, and it looks like people will show up to kind of help you get some of this stuff complete. All right. Good luck for February. I will catch you guys back here next month in March. All right, we've got Taurus and Taurus rising. What's going on, my Tauruses? Happy February. I hope you guys are doing well. Obviously, I got lots of news for you. I think number one is that Venus is doing some stuff, all right? So Venus rules your chart. She rules everything revolving around your appearance, your body, your demeanor, all of that stuff. And Venus is also connected to your 6th house of health, and also your habits, your routine, your workspace. So at the beginning of the month, Venus is great. I mean, it's really until the 4th that, the first 3 days you've got Venus in Pisces. So you're still soaking up a lot of that transit of with friends, with get-togethers, gatherings, socializing, parties, and meeting people. So, it's going to be good for the first couple days. But as of the end of January, Venus came into shadow, which basically means she entered into the degrees which she will retrograde through in the month of March. So you're going to see Venus leave your 11th house of socializing and go into the 12th house, which is hidden, more subconscious. It can mean that you're needing more alone time, you're spending more time in bed, you're needing to go to healing centers, you're needing to work with doctors, therapists, physicians. It can also mean that you're considering traveling, going to foreign lands. There can be lots of opportunity for romance and sexual encounters and stuff behind the scenes, but it's usually a little bit more private. So it's not really out in the world love affairs. It's things that people don't really see. So it can be good for bed pleasures for sure. And you're actually going to have Venus in this sign for the next month. So that basically means that you need to find yourself your little comfort zone. You need to also consider the sign that it's in. It's in Aries. A lot of Taurus risings would really benefit from private gyms, hot saunas, massages, places where you can go and like work up a sweat, going and, being physically active in a private way. It can be really helpful here. Because this is going to be about some kind of spiritual renewal, some kind of physical renewal, and also just feeling like you need your space before you're able to have Venus fully come into your sign in the spring. Now, outside of that, we're not going to see too much else going on with Venus. So just take that into consideration that you'll be working through those things pretty much the entire next month and a half. All right, so outside of that, we've got the other ingresses for the month. You're going to see on February the 4th, Venus will dip into Aries. February 14th, Mercury will go into Pisces. So Mercury is going to leave your work zone. It's going to now move into your friendship networking zone. I feel like this is where if you're a single Taurus or Taurus rising and you want to meet someone, then you need to go out and be where the people are, right? Because Mercury is connected to your 5th house of dating, love affairs, children, and romance. It's also connected to money. So if you are wanting to make more money, professional networking events, connecting with people online, putting your resume out there. If you're wanting to meet somebody romantically, let your friends set you up, go to speed dating, go to group meeting events, go and accept party invitations. These are all things that I would be doing because that's going to improve the likelihood of you meeting someone. Also, there can be like get-togethers and stuff for your kids. So if you have kids, they can be having birthday parties, or you can be taking them to kind of like play dates and other things as well. And Mercury being in this house is just really encouraging you to use intuitive communication when it comes to dealing with or addressing group dynamics. So whether this is hanging out with friends, having meetings at the office, trying to do, kind of like meetings where you guys are collaborating and you're brainstorming, you're going to need a group of people to be able to work through that. Then on the 18th of the month, the sun will ingress into Pisces. So the sun's going to leave your work zone, and it's also going to go into the 11th house. It's my interpretation, the 11th house is kind of like, you work all week and then you throw a party on Friday, right? You go out, you have fun, you party, you drink, whatever. So the 11th house can represent your success, right? Your goals, the richness, the social opportunities, everything after all of the hard work that you have been kind of doing this last month with planets in the sign of Aquarius. The sun is definitely highlighting family gatherings and get-togethers. So there can be reunions, birthday parties, celebrations, baby showers, like all that stuff. So there might be groups of people who are family-oriented that you're meeting, or your friends are inviting you maybe over to their home, or vice versa. On the 4th of the month, Jupiter stations direct in Gemini. So it's been retrograde in your financial zone. Now that it's going to go direct, it's going to be able to help you increase your income. Money should flow more favorably in your direction with Jupiter going direct. People might be more generous with you. You might find that some of your financial goals are now starting to come to fruition. You're starting to feel like income is growing, or money that you have been waiting to receive is now coming in. If people owe you money, they could pay back too, because Jupiter is connected to the 8th house. And this is going to increase also the feeling of spending on celebrations, parties, gatherings, friends. And also there is going to be more support likely coming from a partner or from another person. So if you're due child support, spousal support, inheritance, if you're supposed to be getting a tax refund, anything like that, Jupiter can bring those things to you now more so easily. On the 23rd of the month, Mars will go direct in Cancer. So where there has been a Mars retrograde from your 4th house into your 3rd house, it's been a little tricky for some of my Taurus and Taurus rising. Some of you guys have had to move, you've had car issues, problems with neighbors, issues with communication, gadgets breaking down. So Mars going direct means that now you have forward motion at the end of the month. Maybe you've strategized and figured out how you're going to redo a website. You're getting ready to publish it. Maybe you are you know, smoothing over an issue that you had with a neighbor or with a sibling. Maybe now you feel more confident when it comes to writing something or when it comes to signing a contract. And Mars has been directly connected to your 7th house of relationships. So it's like how you communicate with your neighbors, your family, or your spouse or partner, where there's been some internal conflict, struggles, or frustration revolving around expressing your emotions or your feelings. So be mindful that now there's less hesitation. Now there's more willingness to confront another person or tell them what's on your mind or anything like that. Okay? Now you're going to see from the 23rd to the 28th, all planets are direct, so you got a sweet little slice of time where things are going to be a little bit more easy to navigate. But remember that Mercury and Venus are in shadow, and they will actually be going retrograde from your 12th house to your 11th house next month. So there's almost like for Taurus risings, this sense of like going into hibernation mode, working on yourself, and then March is going to be kind of coming back out and like socializing again. So you might feel like you're just kind of a little bit more sluggish going into the latter part of the month of February, going into March. Now on the 12th of the month, you're going to see a full moon in Leo, and this will be in your 4th house of home and family. So a full moon in the 4th house is going to be highlighting the kind of finale or some kind of conclusion or final turning point when it comes to property, domestic matters, home matters, family matters. I've seen people with a full moon in the 4th sign a lease, you know, they buy a house, they sell a house, they go back home and they visit family. There's some big change happening with a roommate or with a parent. And this full moon is going to be squaring Uranus in your sign. So it's actually going to show the polarity between the sun in Aquarius and the moon in Taurus, the moon in Leo. And it's squaring Uranus in Taurus. So what this is going to do is it's going to basically say you are the person who is possibly instigating or bringing up some of this change. It could be a day where you're like, that's it, I'm moving out, you know, or, you know, I just feel like I'm just like, you know, fit to be tied because of something going on with a parent or with a roommate or, you know, with another person, and you're feeling a little stressed because there's a lot on your plate at work and there's a lot going on at home. But the moon being at home means that it's trying to bring your attention to your emotions, your family, and your living situation, and that you may have to be a little bit more attentive emotionally, especially if you've got family in the home or if you've got children in the home. Then on the 27th of the month, you'll have a new moon happening in the sign of Pisces. This is a beautiful new moon. It is going to be eventually 6 months from now, a full moon lunar eclipse. And when the new moon comes in, it's going to square Jupiter in your 2nd house. So it tells me that you're being incentivized to really focus on new opportunities when it comes to making money, when it comes to your goals, when it comes to your friends. You might feel like your cup is runneth over, that you are so blessed to have so many friends and support groups and allies that are in your corner, that are willing to help you, support you, be generous in giving to you. Because of that square to Jupiter, it could also really inspire you to go big with some of your financial dreams and goals and like growth that you have financially with Jupiter in your 2nd house. 6 months from now, this will actually be a full moon in Pisces that will trine Jupiter in your 3rd house. So I predict that with this intention, you're like, okay, I want to make more money because I want to move, or I want to buy a car, or, you know, I want to travel more. Like, and it will come. You will see that come. But I think you're just trying to figure out how to kind of watch your spending habits or your budget a little bit over the next 6 months to see that come full circle. Now, for the rest of the transits, starting on February 1st, you are going to see Venus conjunct the North Node and Neptune in Pisces. Now, this is important because you're ruled by Venus. Venus conjunct the North Node means that you are being called to go and be there for your friends or for the collective or for some kind of community. Group presentations, group artistic collaborations, spiritual groups and meetings or teachings can be a theme. Obviously, this can be like going to fabulous parties and dinners and stuff like that. And then the conjunction to the North Node and Neptune means that you're feeling inspired to collaborate with other people. So if you're an artist, or if you're in like the spiritual kind of community, or if you're involved in photography, cinematography, even like group philanthropy type stuff, you know, you're going to feel like that's where you want to be, that you want to be helping a certain group or a certain cause, and you're going to be very involved in that. You just got to be mindful of deception and illusions with certain people. You know, knowing who your true friends are is something you guys are going to be working through, and trying to really gain clarity about what is the most important to you, and are you getting lost in the identity of a group of other people. On the 9th of the month, you're going to see the Sun conjunct Mercury in Aquarius in your 10th house of career. So this is big because this tells me that there could be some big announcement, some announcement revolving around your work. It could be also an announcement revolving around a creative project or launch. It could be an announcement revolving around your children. So it could be, oh, my kid's getting married, or, you know, I'm pregnant, or, you know, I'm launching my new project. Something like that can happen. And it can also be some good news revolving around talking to bosses and superiors, and things that can be involving finance or money. So stuff that can benefit you financially, because Mercury is connected to your resources. So watch for that good news that should be coming through around the 9th. Now on the 10th and the 11th, you are going to see then the Sun and Mercury moving through your career house are going to start coming into a square with Uranus in your sign. So it's almost like there's this good stuff happening, things are flowing at work, and there is these, you know, shocks and surprises revolving around whatever is changing in a professional realm. And you may feel a little uncomfortable because it's putting you in the spotlight. You know, squaring Uranus in your first house is, you're like, oh my God, I don't want to be on stage. I don't want the recognition, you know, or people are making comments about me, or they're making comments about how I look or how I behave or my leadership or my clothing or whatever. But I actually really feel like, you know, even though Saturn and the planets in the 11th house indicate you're working with a group of people, or you're putting stuff out there, you know, I don't really think that it's going to be negative. I think that it's all going to be all eyes on you. So be mindful that there can be a little bit of stress or tension, maybe between you and your public identity, maybe between you and like a boss or a leader. And you just want to watch your communication with parents and people in higher positions during the 10th and the 11th, because the Mercury square tells me that, you know, you're trying to be more assertive and you're kind of getting flustered. You're trying to kind of, you know, mentor or teach your children, and they're kind of, you know, being a little wild, and you're like, oh my God, I'm gonna pull my hair out. Anyway, same thing with the Sun square Uranus. There could be a little bit of a back and forth over a matter of who's going to take charge of a home or a family situation, and you're trying to do that, and then you're feeling like, you know what, I just want to be free of this, you know, like I don't want to feel like I have to be herding cats, but I've got people that are kind of giving me a hard time. So keep your cool during the 10th and the 11th. On the 20th of the month, Mercury in Pisces will come into a square with Jupiter. And so I do feel like there is this sense maybe of, you know, part of you being put in the spotlight is you're being bumped up. You're being given more attention, more recognition, maybe even more money. And there can be other people at work or even friends that can be a little jealous of your success, that can be not as thrilled about the fact that you are continuing to grow and continuing to excel. You know, Mercury is connected to also your children or your projects. So with Mercury coming into a square with Jupiter, you might feel like, oh my God, my kids have so much going on. There's all these birthday parties, and they're going to gymnastics, and they're going to sports, and it's just like, it's burning a hole in my pocket. Or you could feel like there's a lot of socializing and parties and events and things that you have to go to, and you're like, man, I'm just constantly shelling out gifts and, you know, expenses for travel, and like, this is just like crazy. So it can feel a little stressful in regards to the expenses, but I do feel like this is also about kind of communicating and connecting with other people about ways to do it as a group, so you're not the one footing the bill. So you're not the one paying for all of the, you know, entertainment or the party favors and like all of that stuff. Positive could be that there's some good news that's coming from other people, you know, and praise, but I do kind of get the vibe with retrogrades going through there. Some people are going to kind of be like, okay, well, you used to be an employee and now you're a manager and you're getting paid more, and like, why didn't we get that? You know, there could be something like that. People might be a little jealous. On the 25th of the month, you're then going to see Mercury conjunct Saturn in Pisces. So, you know, for me, I think that this is about you taking some of your creativity and your projects, and this is about you presenting it. So, for example,
The 5th house is the artist that then takes their art to the 11th house, which is the art gallery, right? So what are you creating and putting out there for people? And what is the feedback that you're getting from others? You know, is it positive where they're like, wow, good work, that must have taken a long time, well done? Or do you have people that are being kind of critical or giving you constructive criticism, you know, about what you're doing and how you're contributing? Do you have a friend that's giving you a hard time, being like, you know, you're not taking my calls, you're too busy for me? That stuff can kind of be coming up here as well, because Mercury conjunct Saturn is definitely a little bit more, I think somebody who could be a little bit more, you know, critical or negative sometimes about your children, your projects, your business. And, you know, you can get kind of some slack from friends or, you know, group collaborators here. So you just kind of want to watch for that. But it's a good day for really committing more seriously to some of your goals and also saying, hey, I want to be a part of this cause. I want to join this group. I want to contribute to what you guys are trying to do. How can I help? And that's how I would use that energy. And you will be finding that throughout February into March, there's going to be much more of an emphasis there, and a complete reworking, obviously, with some of the retrogrades. Okay? All right. So with that being said, let's see what the cards say for you. The card that I get is the 7 of Cups. Okay, 7 of Cups. Which is interesting because there's like, with the 7 of Cups in the traditional Rider-Waite, it does talk about there being too many options, too many choices, and illusions, right? So it's like, do I want this cup? Do I want this cup? And you don't really know what the cups hold. You don't know what's in them. You don't know what they're going to give you, if it's going to be good, if it's going to be bad. And I think about how Venus and Neptune are dancing in the 11th house, and you're going to be like, I just have so many things that I want to do, or there's so many things on my agenda, or there are so many goals that I have, and you can get overwhelmed with some of the squares to Jupiter, feeling like you just want to do it all at one time. And I would say, do not let your energy get frazzled. Do not spread yourself too thin. Do not try to do too many things at one time. Take your time. Really ask yourself, where are you going to feel like you can make the biggest difference? Where do you feel like you can really apply yourself? And maybe instead of having 7 big goals, you kind of narrow it down, put on your blinders, and you're like, let me get these 2 things done first. Because rather than spreading yourself too thin and kind of feeling like you're kind of doing like a half-assed job on all of these things, you can really consolidate your energy and your focus, and you can really prioritize doing the things that you know that you need to do first, and doing them right, and feeling like you're 100%, right? So don't wear yourself out this month is my advice. Hopefully that's helpful, Taurus. I will catch you guys back here next month in March. All right, I've got Gemini and Gemini rising. What's going on, Gemini? I hope you're doing well. Welcome to February of 25. I've got lots of Mercury stuff going on this month, so hold on to your shorts. There's going to be Mercury ingresses, lots of Mercury conjunctions, squares, things that are going to be happening in Mercury, Cazimi. I feel like you and Virgo, your heads are going to spin. But let's talk positive first, okay? So positive is, you know, on the 4th of February, Jupiter's going to go direct in your sign. This means that where it's been retrograde for the last few months, where you have felt like you're not sure what direction you're going in with your career, because Jupiter rules your 10th house, oops, up here. Jupiter rules your 10th house of career, or where you are not entirely sure what direction relationships are going in. Now with Jupiter direct, you're feeling more optimistic, more capable of growing, committing, and making the changes that you want to be making in these areas of your life. Travel should also become a little bit more readily available for you here as well. Now, besides that, we are also going to be seeing on the 23rd of the month, Mars is going to be going direct. So Mars has been retrograde. It started its retrograde in Leo in December, and it's been primarily retrograde in your 2nd house of money and income. So some of you guys have been like, I don't have as much cash. I feel a little tighter on money. I'm not spending as much. Maybe you guys feel like there has been a cutting back or a severing of some of your income. Maybe you've been kind of struggling with self-esteem. Maybe there's been some challenges revolving around health habits and eating. Obviously, Mars is tied to your 6th house of health, and it's also tied to your 11th house of friends and goals. So there can be this feeling that you're like, I'm not feeling as valued by some of my friends, or I'm not feeling like I'm making enough time for health or wellness, or I'm needing some assistance with my finances or my spending. So with this going direct, in theory, you know, health can improve, resources can improve, self-esteem can improve. You can start feeling like, you know, you've got a little bit more wiggle room to kind of spend money and like socialize again. So that's going to be good as well. We will not see any retrogrades between the 23rd and the 28th. So that's a small window where all planets are direct and you can actually get some stuff done. And I recommend doing that during that period. However, Venus and Mercury are in shadow. So Venus is actually going to be in Aries in your friendship zone, and then we're going to see next month it's going to retrograde into your career zone, where you're going to be reassessing and making some changes in regards to who you're working with, whether you still love your job, if you're going to be changing directions or something like that. And Mercury will also be coming into shadow as well, which means it will leave your 11th house and also go back into your 10th house. So March is more reassessing work stuff. It's going to be more making changes in regards to your long-term professional goals. But just be mindful those two are in shadow. Now for lunations for the month, on the 12th of February, we're going to see a full moon in the sign of Leo. Now this will be in your 3rd house. So your attention is going to be on, okay, what's going on with my communications? What's happening with my car? Do I need to travel? Do I need to move? Am I needing to deal with finishing a website or launching a blog? Am I needing to communicate with the neighbor, to, you know, talk to my siblings? And this full moon is going to square Uranus, which means that it's going to definitely have you feel maybe a little intuitive, maybe a little on edge. There can be a little bit of like anxiousness about what direction something is going to go. This is also where I think if you're having issues with your sleep and, you know, and your sleep and rest cycles, you can be feeling a little on edge in terms of communication. So you just want to be mindful of that. You can be a little edgy. I do think that it can prompt spontaneous communications, ideas, learning, writing things down, and you might feel inspired to kind of sit and jot down some notes, especially anything that's like from a dream or from a vision. Then you're going to see on the 27th of the month, there will be a new moon in Pisces, okay? And it's going to be in your 10th house. So this means that this is where you go, all right, I'm setting new intentions for finding a new job, getting a raise, getting more recognition, getting back to work, changing my career direction, you know, something like that. And it's going to square Jupiter in your sign. So it means that you need a little bit of faith, a little bit of optimism, and you need some guidance or support, because Jupiter rules your 7th house, some encouragement from another person. Could be a spouse, could be a business partner, could be a friend, somebody who's like, you can do it. So you need to have that faith and optimism that you can rise to the occasion and really conquer some of these problems that have been kind of happening in your career or your professional life. Now, this new moon is not an eclipse, but it is in the same sign where we have Saturn and Mercury and Neptune. And like, honestly, you're not going to be able to avoid some of the changes or needing to get more clarity in work matters this month. Down the road, 6 months from now, this will be an eclipse, and it will be an eclipse trining Jupiter in your 2nd house of money. Okay, this is in the fall. So for those of you guys who are Geminis and Gemini rising, and you're like, I hate my job, I don't want to be here anymore, people are crazy, there's no leadership, I'm so unhappy here, leave your job. After this new moon, go look for a new job, because what will happen after the new moon and then after the March Venus-Mercury eclipses, where you may change your mind about work or go back to an old job or decide to relaunch something, 6 months from now, this new moon says it will bring you more money. Jupiter in your 2nd house. It will also bring you clients. It will also bring you support. So even if there is some craziness this month and next month and things feeling like they're up in the air with your professional life, I promise you, these changes will bring you good things. So set those intentions with that new moon on the 27th. All right. Now on February 4th, Venus is going to enter into Aries, which means it's bringing love, beauty, harmony, and opportunity for socializing. I think this could be like meeting new friends. I think this could also be giving you opportunities to go to parties, socializing events, and find love. Friends can become lovers. Friends can set you up with potential romantic relationships. And there can be some secret admirers going on in a group environment that you're not aware of. On the 14th of the month, Mercury will move into Pisces. So your chart ruler is going to move into your career house, where there's going to be much more of an emphasis in communication with bosses, meetings, making plans. It's in an intuitive sign, so it's going to be about navigating professional things intuitively and knowing what to say and when to listen and keep quiet. So it'll be interesting to see how that kind of materializes, because obviously there's just so many planets that are in your 10th house that it's definitely going to be about this reworking or reframing something about how you think about your job. And then on the 18th of the month, the sun will also enter into Pisces. And this is also highlighting, because the sun's connected to communications, contract, or travel, more of an emphasis on your professional life and being able to connect and communicate with superiors. Now, for the rest of the transits this month, like I said, listen to when I say Mercury, because 75% of these transits are Mercury transits. So they're going to be pretty dynamic for you this month. On the first of the month, Venus will conjunct the North Node and Neptune in Pisces. Well, Venus is about unexpected things. It could be about secret admirers. It could also be about hidden enemies. It could also be about younger people. And so when Venus conjuncts the North Node and Neptune, you could be like, there's this new girl at work, like, who is she? Like, you know, they hired a new boss, like, who is she? You know, or who are they? What are they about? And you can be kind of like questioning, like, what changes are happening in the upper levels of your work if you work for a company, and questioning what's happening, and if there's like a change going on, if the company's selling, or if they're going to be merging, or if they're going to be restructuring something. That can definitely be a theme. There can also be opportunities for there to be workplace romance, but you're kind of feeling it out and you're like, ooh, that's taboo, can't be doing that, you know, or I can't be letting people know that we have an interest in each other. So like whatever is going on romantically in the workplace, it is kind of like hush hush. Then you will see Neptune in conjunction. So this could also mean that you're kind of questioning whether or not those who are running the company or the business, or those who are in charge, like, do they know what they're doing? Like, is there anybody who is, you know, steering the ship? Literally, you're going to be like, what's happening here? And you may feel like it's like an all hands on deck moment this month, where you're having to jump in and having to kind of be more assertive and kind of direct or lead a team in some way. On the 9th of the month, there will be a Sun-Mercury cazimi in Aquarius. This will be in the 9th house for you and a fellow sister air sign. And it's also, you know, going to include, the cazimi is with Mercury, so it's your chart ruler. This can mean that there is a sudden insight that you have about travel, a shift in your philosophy, maybe some good news that comes from a lawyer, a teacher, or a education, you know, type center. So like maybe it could be about getting accepted into college courses. It could be applying for school. It could be that there is some chance opportunity to travel and go and learn something. And you might receive good news from like in-laws or from family who's further away. Then you're going to see on the 10th and the 11th, there are some stressful aspects going on in the skies. So first on the 10th, Mercury in your 9th house will square Uranus. And then on the 11th, the sun in your 9th house will square Uranus. So the 9th house is law, legality, traveling, your belief system, things revolving around religion. And it's squaring Uranus means that there's something that's kind of shaking loose in regards to your subconscious. Maybe you hear about some global news and it shifts something about your belief system about the world. Maybe there are some disruptions or some breakdowns in communication or in travel. There could be a little bit of like mental strife going on with dealing with a teacher or with a legal matter. And both of these days, you're gonna feel a little rattled because, you know, especially the Mercury, you know, square Uranus. It's not the best time for you to be traveling, booking flights, going back and forth between places, or dealing with educational or legal matters. Then when the sun squares Uranus, it's going to be more, I think, about like whether or not you're going to respond to that the next day. So you might need a day or two to kind of let the dust settle. And there could also be a little bit of like challenges in terms of communications with like a sibling or a neighbor. Then on the 20th of the month, you're going to see Mercury in your 10th house of career come into a square with Jupiter. So this is like you trying to figure out or gain insight or information about a professional matter or about a business matter. Maybe this is about you communicating with a parent. Maybe this can be about you trying to make some kind of statement or making some kind of major, public, public statement or message. And with the square to Jupiter, it basically means that you're going to be very enthusiastic. You're going to be very optimistic. I would just say don't count your chickens before they hatch here because of the retrogrades that are coming. And so you might be like, oh my God, I got this new job, or I'm going to get the higher position, or I'm getting like a boost in my pay. And you're going to be very enthusiastic about it. But I would say be careful, because if you're boasting about things, there's going to be definitely a little bit of stress and tension that can be kind of coming with other people. The positive is that I feel like with Jupiter direct in your sign, you're very sagely, you're very wise, you're very knowledgeable. And I feel like you're trying to not come off like you're a know-it-all at work. You're trying not to come off like you're the top dog. You're being gentle, kind, compassionate. You're knowing exactly how to communicate with people and where and when to do it. And you're just really having to kind of rely on your gut to know for those opportune moments to be able to kind of like, climb that career ladder. Okay. So that's what I have for you guys for this month. Let's take a look and see what the tarot says. Card that I got for you is the Wheel of Fortune. This is the Threads of Fate, which is very much associated with Jupiter. So I think in this case, it's saying things are kind of falling into place. Like the right place at the right time for me is very much the Wheel of Fortune. And I think in this case, with Jupiter being associated with this card and Jupiter's in your ascendant, it's like all eyes are on you. Things are falling into place. I think this is about you knowing that you have these opportune moments this month to make your move. Definitely the 10th and the 11th are the days that I don't recommend making your move. I do think that this is also going to be about, really kind of committing more seriously to there being a pretty significant change to your professional life. I'm not sure if I said this, but I'm just seeing it now. But Mercury will conjunct Saturn in Pisces on the 25th. That's the last transit. And that's literally you getting on board, being like, yes, I will manage this. Yes, I will, take responsibility for this. And for some of you guys, Saturn can represent like the boundary where you're like, that's it, I've hit my limit, like I quit. But Jupiter being involved in some of these squares and that connection to the Wheel of Fortune is like, for some of you guys, there will be moments that there's going to be a straw that breaks the camel's back. And you're going to be like, okay, this is it. This is my way out, And for some of you, I've heard from some Gemini risings, it's like, oh, I've been saying I want to retire, I want to quit. And like now my company is getting sold, or now they're having layoffs, or the company's closing, so you can see that there is some pretty significant or dramatic change happening in the professional world. But I feel like with the Wheel of Fortune, whatever this is, it's a good thing. And it's paving the way for the next phase of ultimately what you're going to be going into. You got 18 months of North Node full moon eclipses that are going to be in your 10th house. You guys are on your way to the top. This will be a building year, but for some of you guys, you're phasing something professionally out to make way for this new big thing. Okay? Good luck. I hope it's helpful for you guys, and I'll catch you back here in March. All right, I've got my Cancers and Cancer risings. What's going on, guys? Welcome to February of 2025. I hope you're well. I got lots of stuff to share with you. Obviously, you're a sign that's ruled by the moon, so you should always be tracking the moon. You need to know what's going on with the moon in your chart as well as in the day-to-day, so make sure you're watching my astro weathers on Sunday. Come on, Mars is going to go direct in your sign. So at least you can be outwardly crabby now, right? Mars in Cancer retrograde has not been a fun one for anybody, but I think especially for you guys. I've heard so many Cancer and Cancer risings that have told me that they've been sick, they've had norovirus, they've had pneumonia, they've had cuts, burns, accidents. I hope you guys are okay. So on the 23rd of the month, Mars is going to go direct in your sign. So where you guys have definitely maybe had some health stuff come up, some issues with inflammation, some frustration, and feeling sluggish or kind of just slow. Now Mars going direct means that you're going to be feeling like I can take action. Now I can be more assertive. Mars deals with your career and you taking responsibility for your career or for something out in the world, and it's also connected to your love life, creativity, and children. So Maybe you're feeling like getting back into dating. Maybe you feel like you're completing a creative project. Maybe you feel like, you can now reconnect and kind of heal the inner child. But whatever it is, the Mars retrograde ending is definitely good news for you. Now, outside of that, we are also going to see that Jupiter will be going direct as well. So Jupiter will be going direct in Gemini in your 12th house, which basically means in its retrograde, many of you guys have been feeling a little hermity, or there has been a sense of being like, I'm studying more, I'm traveling more, I'm resting more, I'm kind of in hibernation mode, and I just want my peace and my privacy. And so Jupiter going direct now, your faith, your belief systems, travel, education, all can kind of now move forward. So you're not really seeing it, but in this next year, Jupiter is going to come into your sign. So there's been a lot of you guys working on your faith and your belief systems behind the scenes, and then there's new things coming for you later this summer. On the retrograde side of things, once these two go direct, we have a very short window of time from February 23rd through the 28th that all planets will be direct. And so it's only a couple days, but hey, it's a good thing. So make the most of that time. Just keep in mind that both Venus in your career zone and also Mercury will be coming into your career zone. They will be in shadow. So couple days in between, but still, use that time to your advantage. And for lunations for this month, we are going to see on the 12th of the month a full moon happening in the sign of Leo. So it'll be in your money house, okay? So a full moon in the second house is sometimes a big payment comes in. Sometimes we have to make a purchase. We have to, spend on something. Obviously, the moon will be in Leo and the sun will be in Aquarius. So it's very financial for you in Capricorn. I feel like what's stressful about this full moon is that it's going to square Uranus. So something about a group of people, friends, people outside of you, something that's kind of changing in regards to friendships or even your financial goals is impacting or influencing something about this full moon. So maybe you're just spontaneously, going somewhere, traveling, maybe you're going to parties and it's just a little bit more expenses. Could also mean that if you are working or making money somehow connected to friends, there can be some shocks and surprises revolving around how much money is given and taken. So definitely watch for that as well. Now, outside of that, on the 4th of the month, we're going to see Venus enter into Aries. So goddess of love, your goals, your friendships, and also your home and your family is moving into the 10th house. So Venus does not really perform that well in Aries, but Venus going through, I think the 10th house is definitely going to be about maybe receiving support in a professional manner, really tending to your relationships with people out in the world professionally, networks, connections, partnerships, business deals, and opportunity also to strengthen some of the bonds with people professionally. I do feel like with Venus here, love can be found sometimes in the workplace, or people might be coming into your work, or maybe there's people that you're connecting with in a professional sense. And it can be people from the past too, with Venus being connected to the 4th house, or maybe somehow family is being tied into the work that you're doing, or a family business, or there could be opportunities to kind of reconnect with people who you've worked with in the past. On the 14th, Mercury will ingress into Pisces. So Mercury will leave your 8th house. It'll go into the 9th, where the mind wants to focus on philosophy, travel, spirituality, higher learning. Obviously, you might be considering courses, booking travels. You might be studying or practicing something of spiritual nature, as Mercury is connected to your 12th house and your 3rd. So, just know there's a lot of action in the 9th house. A lot of you guys are going to be wanting to book flights. You're going to want to be going places. You're going to want to be connecting with teachers or learning something. But I think between eclipses and retrogrades, some of these things might get reworked. So what I will say is that if you're planning to apply for colleges, if you're planning to book travel, if you're planning to, start a course or anything like that, just keep all your documents, your receipts. Some things you might need to go over. You might need to choose a refundable option. And this could also be really significant for legal matters as well in the 9th house. All right, so outside of that, those are the ingresses, planets going direct, retrogrades, and lunations. So moving on to the rest of the list, at the beginning of the month on February the 1st, you're going to see Venus conjunct Neptune and the North Node. Now, this can be significant because Venus represents the past or home matters. Obviously, Neptune is connected to places and people that are far away or culturally different or diverse. And the North Node could mean like fated events. So some of you guys might have a dream about visiting a foreign land, or you might, be coming into a significant turning point where there is something legally going on revolving around property disputes, home, family, or land. Some of you guys might have a mystical, magical, romantic connection to somebody who lives further away. On one hand, it's inspiring that something can actually come of this, that you might actually have a significant divine relationship setting up, that you might be meeting somebody from far away, that you might be seeing the end of a legal, issue or lawsuit, or the end of an issue revolving around a home or a domestic matter. But like I said, there's going to be retrogrades here. So, not everything that glitters is gold here. Somebody or something might look really good from a distance, but it may not necessarily be what you think it is. So be very careful with that, especially if you're considering long distance relocations or moves. Go and physically look at a property, have it inspected. Don't just look at the pictures. Be very careful when you're looking at Airbnb listings, or when you're looking at taking courses or workshops or things connected to like retreats, because some of this stuff is going to look really good, but you could get kind of catfish by the time you get there. So I just want you guys to be really sensible when you're looking at that stuff. February 9th, you're going to see the Sun conjunct Mercury in Aquarius. So this is a cazimi where your 12th house lord and also your money lord are going to be conjunct in the 8th. So I predict that some of you guys are digging through your taxes. You're getting your taxes ready. Maybe you're looking for an accountant, or maybe you're looking for a document, or maybe you're looking for a loophole, or, a way to be able to kind of save money. Some of you guys might be breaking out your credit cards and thinking about making a purchase or an expense of some kind. There can be some news coming out revolving around someone else's money. So your partner's money, banking, loans, financing, some kind of news revolving around these topics may potentially come up. And this could also be a transit where there's a breakthrough in therapy, or you feel like you get some kind of message in a dream, or from like an ancestor or from somebody on the other side, and you're having to kind of decode it. Secrets usually happen with a cazimi here. All right, and then on the 10th and the 11th, there are some stressful energies that are in the skies. So you're going to see the Sun going through your 8th house of joint income, and Mercury going through this house, where the mind and also communications is going through there, and it's going to square Uranus in the 11th house. So it almost, to me, seems like there could be a dispute about something. There could be a shocking or a surprise situation about money borrowed, money lending, paying something off. It can mean that there is some kind of strife in terms of communicating with a bank or with another person about finances. There can be some shocks and surprises about security measures. So when I think of like the 8th house, it's like passwords, PIN numbers, credit scams, people receiving some of your data or some of your information, and stuff that's connected to websites, the internet, and groups. Be very careful with your identity stuff. If you have like any of those like identity protectors, or if you're working through one of those websites that will give you alerts as to whether or not there has been like a data breach, this is when you want to be paying attention, because there could be some shocking news revolving around one of those things. But there could also be a sense of you recognizing or realizing that there's been a gain on a stock, or that there's, your partner has kind of increased some money, or something has suddenly come in, and you're like, oh, well, now we do have the money or the resources to, go and party or spend money or do something that you want to do. But there's a little tension in trying to decipher or determine what is mine and what is yours, and also like, what are we going to be doing about this financial matter. On the 20th of the month, Mercury in Pisces will square Jupiter in Gemini. So Mercury in your travel education zone squaring Jupiter means that this is a day that you don't want to have a tiff legally. This is a day that you don't want to get into it with a teacher or a professor. There could be some conflict revolving around faith, philosophy, your belief systems, and a little bit of like a intellectual debate can kind of be brewing between you and another person. This could be a neighbor, somebody online. This could be a friend. So just be mindful that, you know, you want to be able to agree to disagree. There could definitely be a sense of you needing to take a step back, I think, with Mercury and Pisces. If you don't understand something, or if you feel like, you know, your rights are being violated, or there's something kind of off, like check in with somebody who would know better. Get some feedback from a professional, and don't assume or even like self-diagnose. That's something else that we could do with Mercury square Jupiter. Not a good day for traveling either, because there could be just so many question marks about, well, when do we travel? When do we get there? What are we doing? Like, do not travel on this day if you can help it, and try not to book travel either. Then on the 25th of the month, you're going to see Mercury conjunct Saturn in your 9th house. So Saturn rules business partnerships, romantic partnerships, commitments, spouses, clients, and Mercury is going to be about emails, texts, communication. So likely there's going to be some unexpected conversation, communication, email, text, or something coming in that you are like getting from a business partner or from a client, or maybe out of the blue, you know, you get a response from your lawyer on something and they're like, I got to talk to you. Or there's some news or information, you know, that's kind of coming to light about an education matter. Because Saturn rules relationships, I feel like it might mean that you need to have a heart-to-heart conversation with an in-law, or with a relative, or with a family member, or with a partnership. And it's really about committing more seriously to something, Mercury, Saturn, right? I feel like because Mercury rules your 3rd house, just be really careful with legal documents, leases, or anything involving travel or vehicles. And also because there are some of these squares to Jupiter, it can mean that if you don't understand something, or if something doesn't make sense, or if you're not reading all the details, there could be some stickies that can actually come up for you next month, in the month of March, where you're having to go back over it and make the corrections, and it can actually delay a legal, travel, or educational kind of process, right? All right, so with that being said, Cancer, I hope that that's helpful for you guys for this month. Let's see what the cards have in store for you. The card that I get is the 9 of Cups. Okay, great card, all things considered. This is one of the best cards that you can pull in the deck. This is as you wish, you shall receive. I feel like this card is basically saying whatever you have been dreaming of, especially with like Jupiter in the 12th house, if you're like, man, I just really want to go on a trip. I really want to go back to school. I really want to finish this court case. I really want to publish my book. I really want to meet somebody. Whatever it is, you've been wishing for something, right? And Jupiter is connected to all this Pisces. And so now it's going to be like your faith is being tested, but because you have succeeded, and because you have believed in something bigger than you, and you have stayed the path, and you have stayed committed to something, you're going to have your wish granted. So what you've been asking for and envisioning is going to come your way. So maybe that's Jupiter, kind of your guardian angel transit in the 12th house. Maybe that's Mars coming back online. I don't know, but one of the better cards that you can pull for this month. Okay, so let me know, what is it that actually ends up working out for you? I'll catch you guys back here in March. All right, we've got Leo and Leo rising. What's going on, Leo? How are you guys doing? Welcome back to your horoscopes. This is going to be your February 2025 horoscopes. You know, I'm going to talk all about things going on with your sign. So we've got a couple things that are happening this month. One, I think, is the big one, is going to be the February 12th full moon in your sign. Okay. So if you've got anything in Leo around, you know, 23, 24, 25 degrees, you're going to have a full moon on sun, moon, or rising. It's going to be a little bit more impactful. Obviously, a full moon in the 1st house is putting a lot of emphasis on your body, your appearance, right? Your energy, your vitality. It's who am I and my emotions, moon in Leo, in comparison to the sun in Aquarius, in comparison to other people. So it's a lot about who you are in terms of your relationship dynamics with romantic partners, spouses, clients, and also other people in general. Now, what's tricky is that this full moon is going to square Uranus. So we're going to have a bit of a T-square. And this means that you're going to be emotional because of some of the things that are going on where there is dramatic changes at work. Uranus in the 10th. Status changes, relationship changes, quitting jobs, starting new jobs, and it's going to be you kind of feeling like, oh my God, I'm being pulled in two different directions between what other people need and also what's kind of going on at work. Take a breath, take it easy that day. If you've got any planets around those degrees, it will pass. And I feel like this is kind of like this breaking point where your status, whether you go from single to being engaged or from being married to being divorced or from being unemployed to working, you'll be emotional about this change that's coming up. Then on the 27th of the month, we're going to have a new moon in Pisces. And this will be very quiet, very reflective, very, very private in your 8th house. Now, obviously you can see there's a lot of planets in your 8th house this month. So this is going to be a hot zone for February and for March. A new moon in the 8th house is like if you're wanting to go back to therapy, if you want to heal something, if you want better intimacy, if you want to be thinking about taxes, investments, tackling debt, healing something, because Pisces is emotional and releasing something, this is the time to do it. Now, this new moon is ruled by Jupiter, so it tells me that you're feeling like you're really having to dig into your goals. You need to surround yourself with good friends, people who are going to encourage you to be the best version of yourself. And this is also about reaching out and reconnecting with some of your friends as you go through some of these really dramatic emotional and financial changes in the 8th house transits. Now, what I like is that down the road, when this becomes an eclipse in the fall of 2025, this is going to trine Jupiter in your 12th house, and Jupiter will be exalted. So it's going to be in a really strong position. You're dealing with water houses, so it's almost like you're really embracing the idea of change. And then over the next 6 months, some of these financial changes, emotional changes, psychological changes leave room for improved emotional health. They leave room for better self-introspection, changes in regards to the home and family, more rest, healing, travel. Those kinds of things will be coming after this new moon in 6 months' time. So definitely work with it. Now, in terms of other transits, we're going to see on the 4th of the month, Venus will ingress into Aries. So she will leave your 8th house where she's been in the dark and move into the 9th house in a fire sign. So this is great for Leo risings who are like, I want to travel, I want to find love at a distance, I want to go back to school, I want to be focusing on maybe some marketing or working with a teacher or with a mentor of some kind. It can also be a time where you're traveling for work or you're learning or developing new skills or certifications for work as well. Pleasure will be found either in travel or education. Then you're going to see on the 14th of the month, Mercury will ingress into Pisces. So Mercury rules your money and it's going into the 8th house, which means like all month long, there's a lot of like, how am I doing my taxes? How much money am I getting back? Am I getting enough support from spouses? Am I dealing with a insurance matter? Do I need to be getting reimbursed for something? Am I owed inheritance or money from someone? And so your mind is going to be on money, assets, joint resources, partners' money. And with Mercury going into this house, it's playing off of the South Node in your second, which, believe it or not, basically means you're supposed to be having access to debt, loans, other people's finances, and support. So you're going to be communicating with that, talking about that, maybe seeking business loans, doing debt consolidation over the next month or two, dipping into savings, learning about investments. Then you're going to see on the 18th of the month, then the sun goes into the 8th house. And man, the sun rules your chart. So anytime planets go through the 8th house, they go through some significant change. Think of it as like, Scorpio's lair. You have to kind of go to the underworld, process stuff, confront things that are scary, like looking at your investments or your checking account or how much money you owe on something, or confronting issues in therapy, especially emotional and psychological in the sign of Pisces. The 8th house is the house that deals with death and transformation. So there's going to be some kind of like metaphorical death or change that's happening. It can be about your financial goals, your friendships, or even your beliefs. Now you're going to see on the 4th of the month, Jupiter will go direct in Gemini. So Jupiter's been retrograde. It's maybe felt like it's difficult to connect with some of your friends, focus on your goals, go to parties, socialize, and do things. Maybe part of that is because you felt disconnected, or you're emotionally going through some changes, or there's been some financial hurdles with being able to kind of go out and enjoy yourself. So Jupiter going direct means that there can be better joint resources and also more funds, and also more opportunities just to connect with your friends and feeling a little bit more chatty and communicative with them. On the 23rd of the month, Mars will station direct, so the Mars retrograde ends. Remember, it started in your sign in December and it went retrograde into your 12th. So a lot of you guys have been like, I'm taking time off. I am spending time away from home. I'm traveling in foreign lands. I need to rest. I feel under the weather. I'm exhausted. So now as Mars is going to go direct, it will be coming back into your sign, but you're not going to deal with that until closer to like March going into April. For right now, though, Mars turning online means that you're going to have some change in direction when it comes to travel or education, and also your home. So if you've been holding off on relocating, traveling, buying a house, moving, all of these things now, maybe you're going to have more clarity. I do think you're going to take more action down the road as Mars is coming into your sign. You still need a little bit of time for that to play out, but if you've been healing an injury or feeling under the weather, likely you're going to feel like your energy levels are coming back online. On the 23rd to the 28th, all planets are direct, so it's a short couple day period, but still this means that this is where the universe wants us to move forward. So we have a little less kind of challenge or blockages revolving around being able to proceed forward. Just keep in mind that Venus is in retrograde in the 9th, so there can be some change in direction with travel, education, or your belief systems in this next month. And Mercury will be turning retrograde there as well, and you will actually see that both of those retrogrades happen in March. All right, so moving on to the other transits that catch my eye. On February the 1st, you're going to see the North Node, Neptune, and Venus coming into conjunction in the 8th house. Now, for you, this is very financial, okay? The 8th house is banking, loans, other people's money, your partner's resources, taxes, credit cards, loans, any of that stuff. So Venus conjunct the North Node and Neptune means that you may receive an email, a letter, or you're having a conversation with your partner about money. And it can mean that they're like, well, I don't have the funds right now, or, I don't have anything in savings, like I can't give you something, you need something, but I don't have it. Or that you're kind of finding out like, oh, well, they told me that they didn't get paid, but they did, and you find a paycheck stub, or you find an email, or you overhear a conversation where they're talking about money or investments, and you're like, what? So there can be some secrets going on about money and resources that can definitely be happening, or there can be some missing tax documents or something that's missing that you're having to file a claim on, or some kind of issue with damage with a vehicle that you're having to deal with an insurance matter on. Anyway, so after that transit where there can be some fishiness, on the 9th of the month, you're going to see a Mercury cazimi in your 7th house of relationships. And this is important because you are the sun. So you are addressing another person, connecting with another person, and you're talking to them about money and resources, or your needs, your values. It's possible that there can be a chance connection or a chance meeting, or somebody who comes in that's just like, hey, I can help you, or I can pay for that, or I'll cover it, or I want to, help fund something. I want to support you. So watch for that conversation and how it goes back and forth about finances and support. Then on the 10th and the 11th, there is a little bit of like some staticky energy that's going on, because we're going to see some squares happening between Aquarius and Leo. Aquarius and Taurus. You're the Leo who's going to be feeling the opposition. So on the 10th of the month, you're going to see the sun come into your relationship zone, and it's going to square Uranus, which means you might kind of butt heads with a business partner, a romantic partner. It can be with somebody at work, with a client. Like there can definitely be a sense of you confronting somebody about the need to change your relationship dynamic, to change something about your public opinions, about your career. And like all eyes are on you, so be careful ruffling any feathers because it can actually create a lot of waves and people can really kind of see some kind of tiff that you have. Then on the 10th will be the Mercury square, on the 11th will be the Sun square. So Mercury is going to come first. So that tells me that there can be a little bit of like a disagreement that you have with another person. Could be a client or romantic relationship about work or money. And then after you have the tiff on the 11th, then the Sun squares Uranus, and you're going to be kind of like, some of you guys might fly off the handlebars a little bit, or you can feel like there's definitely like a standoff that you're having with another person about continuing to work together or continuing to be together. And Uranus squares, they want to kind of give us some freedom. It wants to actually release some pressure. So those 2 days, take it easy with those squares. On the 20th of the month, you're going to see Mercury and Pisces square Jupiter in Gemini. So Mercury in your 8th house means that there's some kind of either financial matter or psychological matter or some kind of communication matter that you are bringing to somebody else's attention. Maybe you're sharing something about your financial situation with a friend. Maybe you are talking to somebody, in your social group about some difficult things you've been going through emotionally or psychologically, where you've been feeling a little lost or disconnected. And somebody may actually be able to give you some really good advice. They may be able to cheer you up. They may be able to support you and make you feel loved while you're feeling like you're kind of going through a rough patch. And then on the 25th of the month, you're going to see the Mercury-Saturn conjunction in the 8th. So Mercury can be about your money, your investments. It can also be about your goals. And the conjunction to Saturn in the 8th means that you're having to kind of make a serious decision about a joint financial matter. So it could mean something like, I'm making an investment into my 401k, or I am applying for a loan, or I'm trying to, consolidate debt, or I'm trying to apply for, refinance on a mortgage, something like that. And there could be some restriction and limitation, like if you're asking for a raise, if you're asking your partner for money, if you're trying to get money from the bank, likely there's either going to be a delay or there can be a denial. So trying to ask for more, trying to get more, with Mercury's placement, it's very unlikely, and it might be something that's like the beginning of a process of trying to kind of rework your funds really for like the next 2 months. Be mindful that other people are going to be cheap. They're going to be very stingy. You're going to ask them for support or help. They're not going to offer. They're not going to put that up there. And I would say the whole lesson here for you with the retrogrades in the 8th house is, how much is it weighing on you emotionally, having to be the one picking up the check for everything? Whether you're paying for all of you and your partner's meals or your expenses, whether this is you having to constantly pay down debt and feeling like it's never going anywhere. This could also mean emotionally, what kind of a toll, are things taking on you right now? And I really feel like this is about emotionally kind of detoxing. And so maybe you're going to hit your limit and you're going to be like, that's it. Now I need you to contribute, or now I'm actually going to need that refund, or now I'm going to be tapping into my savings, because you're going to potentially be feeling a little challenged or depleted. But you'll work through this basically over the next month or two with the eclipses and the retrogrades. The goal here with the North Node in the 8th is receiving more. And even if it's not money, positive support, words of affirmation, friends that want to spend time with you, they want to help you through what can feel like a difficult time. You just need to know who to ask. Okay? All right. So with that being said, let's take a look. I would also say that can be a good transit to make changes to your passwords. Okay? On websites, on financial things, you may have to do that. That can happen. Watch out for credit scams in this part of your chart. Card that I get is the Wheel of Fortune. This is the second time it's come up. So this is indicating that whatever is changing, it's changing for good. Good things are coming, so that's interesting. So Jupiter, I think all the Jupiter squares are saying like it's really pushing you and giving you good advice from your friends. The right people might step in at the right times this month and kind of say, this is exactly what you need to do, or this is what you need to change, or this is what you need to confront. And like some of the things are going to be uncomfortable. But I do feel like that this is the turning point where you're starting to kind of realize that you need more. And like the universe wants to support you when you get the Wheel of Fortune. Okay? Hopefully that's helpful. I'll catch you guys back here next month in March. All right, we've got Virgo and Virgo rising. What's going on, guys? Welcome to February of 2025. I hope you're doing well. I've got lots of news for you, obviously, and I'm just going to start off by telling you, there are lots of Mercury aspects going on this month. A lot. So you need to pay attention to that because Mercury rules your sign, okay? So when you hear the conjunction, the cazimi, the square, that's all very much to do with what direction you're going in with your mind and also your communication, all right? Now, with that being said, I want to tell you that, you've got a lot of planets going through your opposite sign in Pisces, okay? So this is going to be a month that's huge emphasis on your romantic relationships, your spouses, your business partners, your clients, your marketplace. It's going to be all about other people. And it seems like a little paradoxical because Mercury rules you, but this is about you going what do you need? What's the problem? How can I help you? And trying to get clarity from people who are going to seem lost, dazed, confused, very emotional. So try your best to be patient. I know it's going to be hard, but try to be patient and know that there is a process that's unfolding this month into next month because Mercury and Venus will be in shadow, that there will be things where you will have experience with relationships and with others, and then they are going to change direction. They're going to think about things. They're going to maybe be a little ghosty, or they're going to need some space. And then March and April, they're coming back, and you're going to kind of find definitively what direction you're going in with some of these people, okay? I know. All right, so let's start off first with this month with the ingresses. So you're going to see on February 4th, Venus will go into your 8th house where there is going to be opportunity to change and transform something about your joint resources. Venus deals with your money, and it also deals with your education, travel, and your philosophy. So change of philosophy about money, about relationships, partnerships, travel, education. Maybe you're paying off debt, maybe you're recouping things, maybe you're getting refunds and exchanging things. This might also be a time where there's major breakthroughs and transformation in matters of intimacy, as well as finding the resources for education or legal matters. On the 14th of the month, you're going to see Mercury ingress into Pisces. So this is when there's going to be much more focus on communication with other people. Mercury in Pisces is not strong. It gets kind of confused, and it can be sensitive, and it can kind of come and go with communication. So people are not going to be the most consistent, and how they communicate is going to be heavily influenced by their mind. It's going to be about how they're feeling, and they're going to be kind of going in two different directions. So the way that people communicate can be more sensitive and I think sincere, but it can also mean that they're just processing some heavy emotions and trying to figure out how to express themselves. Pisces can be a little weepy, so you can just notice that they're a little bit more sentimental or sensitive than usual. On the 18th of the month, the sun will ingress into Pisces too, and you've got this Pisces party in your 7th house. Things that have been hidden or things that have not been discussed or talked about, or maybe concerns about stuff that has been happening behind the scenes or stuff that people have been doing can now become more visible with this sun transit in your 7th. On the 4th of the month, you're going to see Jupiter go direct in Gemini. So where there has been some reworking of your job, your responsibilities, some maybe lack of direction with your career, or maybe you feel like you have been reevaluating if you're going to make a career shift, now Jupiter direct is going to help you move forward and be able to fulfill some of your professional dreams, communicate better, and also get a little bit more recognition out in the workplace. This can also better the relationships that you're having with people that you work with as well. On the 23rd of the month, Mars will go direct in Cancer. So it actually started its retrograde in December in your 12th, and it went back into the 11th. And I see this as kind of like this reemergence into hanging out with your friends more, reconnecting with them. Maybe it means that there's been some lack of connection, or there's been some conflict or some disputes with some of your close friends or allies. And there's been a lot of changes in the lives of your friends, especially with their home or their family situations. Mars is about change and transformation, can be about cutting or severing, and it's also connected to the 3rd house. So It's possible if there's been lack of connection or communication with some of these people, suddenly you can see them more, you can communicate with them better, and this is also going to be really positive in aiding in your goals when it comes to the money that you make from work. We know the second house is how you spend money, but the 11th house is actually the money that you gain. So if you've been waiting to get a promotion, bonuses, pay raise, things like that, these things can come easier now with Mars direct. On the February 23rd through the 28th period, it's a couple days, but all planets will be direct. So this is going to be a nice little sweet spot before we get to the Venus and the Mercury retrograde in March. So make the most of that. Just keep in mind that Venus has been in shadow, so any changes happening with relationships will be reworked next month and in April. Equally, Mercury will go into shadow as well, so any people who you reconnect with, you're going to decide whether or not you guys are going to stay with them or if you're going to let them go, or there's going to be some back and forth communication clear into the next month. So you need some time to kind of let that unfold, okay? Now on to the lunations. On the 12th of the month, we are going to see a full moon in Leo in your 12th house of the subconscious, hidden, more spiritual zone. Usually a full moon in the 12th house, you're like, I just need to be alone. You know, I need to just hang out and be able to do some creative crafting, or I need to be able to play my guitar, or, you know, rest and do something creative behind the scenes. And you might be feeling a little bit more romantic during this time as well because it's in the sign of Leo. It will be in some hard angles to Uranus. So it almost feels like you really want to kind of be hidden, traveling, resting, you know, doing something behind the scenes, breaking out of your usual day-to-day schedule. And it's inspiring you to travel. Spontaneous travel or travel plans change. Spontaneous educational plans change as well. So traveling, you know, flying to and from places or booking during this day, I would say let's try to avoid that if at all possible. Otherwise, there can be some changes to your plans. Then on the 27th of the month, we're going to have a beautiful new moon in Pisces in your 7th house of relationships. So if you're single, Virgo or Virgo rising, you're looking for someone, I highly recommend setting intentions for meeting someone under this particular new moon. Now it's going to square Jupiter, which means you're feeling more optimistic also about meeting new clients, offering new services, collaborating with people at work. But 6 months from now, this will become a full moon lunar eclipse in Pisces. And when that eclipse comes in your 7th house of relationship fulfillment, it will trine Jupiter in your 10th, which basically means within about 6 months' time, you know, you will either have better relationships with your friends, you maybe get set up by a friend who wants you to meet someone, somebody who as a friend can become a partner, and there is this joyous kind of collaboration and gathering between your romantic relationships and your friendships, and there could be some celebration. So it could literally mean there is a wedding that's going to be happening in the fall. There is an engagement. There is a significant meeting of someone. So I know that things feel a little maybe heavy for some of you guys in the relationship department. Your partners are going through something. You're not sure what the problem is. They're kind of not very communicative, or they're feeling a little down. And so my advice is with this new moon to be more optimistic about where you can be in 6 months, how your relationships can get better, who you can meet. And this is a great time to work with an astrologer or a therapist because the 7th house is about giving you some direction. So it could be working with a manager. It could be working with a coach of some kind, somebody who's saying, you know what, go big or go home, focus on where you see your life going, and the right people will kind of fall into place and support you. Okay? All right, so for the other transits this month, we are going to see on the first of the month, Venus will conjunct Neptune in the North Node. Virgos and Virgo rising. Some of you guys are going to see some very tempting situations with relationships. If you're partnered, you might see somebody that you're kind of like, oh, you know, and for those of you guys who are single, you might meet somebody who's kind of mystical, magical. You're like, who is that person? What are they about? Very beautiful, very etheric, and you're going to be very drawn to someone, but you're going to be like, what's the deal there? You know, who are they? You know, when I'm not around, what do they got going on? You might meet an intuitive, a healer, or a psychic. It could happen under that transit as well. And it could also be a time when you're kind of bringing in more clients in some way in regards to work, or you're providing more services for people. But this can be you meet somebody that really kind of turns your head day. Just be mindful with Neptune. Not everything is going to be clear. Some things are going to be a little hazy, and there could be a way that some people present themselves that you're not entirely sure what you're getting. Don't get catfished. On the 9th of the month, you're going to see the Sun conjunct Mercury in Aquarius. So this is important for you when it comes to matters of health. Okay, so there can be some health or habit issue that, you know, comes up for you. It could be where you come up with a solution, especially an IT solution or a solution for your schedule, a solution for a problem at work. It could also be that there is something happening revolving around a pet or a fellow employee. You know, somebody might be talking some smack here because the Sun represents hidden enemies. So the Sun conjunct Mercury means that you're defeating a problem, or you're finding out that somebody is saying something and you're kind of confronting them, or you're addressing them on that matter. So be mindful of that. And like I said, keep an eye on your health because it is happening in the area of health. On the 10th and the 11th, there are some stressful aspects in the sky. We are going to see Mercury in your 6th house of health and habits, squaring Uranus in the 9th, where you're like, I've got a scheduling issue or a work problem or an issue with a pet or something that's coming up that's creating some strife or some issues with getting around, traveling, going to school, you know, a work matter that could become a legal matter, an issue with an employee that's like not covering your shift, that's like really throwing you off if you're planning on traveling or if you're doing something where you're not going to be in the office. Definitely trying to kind of avoid any legal issues during the 10th and the 11th is what I would recommend. Then on the 11th, the Sun comes into a square with Uranus, and this is, you know, somebody is challenging you, and they could be challenging you at work, they could be challenging you legally. There could be some moral or ethical issues that are coming up at work or in the workspace, and I would say those 2 days you just want to really diffuse, and you want to, you know, allow people to say what they're going to say. But if you're dealing with enemies, don't interrupt them when they're making a mistake. Like, just let them do their thing. Like, they'll shoot themselves in the foot, you know, because this is definitely a situation where if somebody's doing something out of line, or if somebody's doing something that's not moral or legal, they're gonna end up having to face the music on that. You don't need to do anything to kind of combat it. All right, and watch for how health issues or issues that are coming up with your schedule can impact traveling, because that's a thing as well. On the 20th of the month, you're going to see Mercury in Pisces square Jupiter in Gemini. So Mercury in your 7th house, where you're communicating and connecting with a partner, a therapist, a guide of some kind. It could even be a spouse. And there is some challenge revolving around, you know, how you navigate your relationship and also your career. And somebody could be saying to you, like, I need more from you. I'm not getting enough support. You know, are you listening to me? You're so busy with work. You've got so much stuff going on with work. Like, where are you when I need you? You know, something like that can kind of happen. Usually Mercury square Jupiter, it just overly stimulates the mind, and it can mean that, you know, your partner's going through something, and simultaneously you're like, I've got, you know, you're telling me you want me to be at work and you also want me to be there for you. Which one do you want? And they're going to be emotional. So it's going to be kind of hard to reason with people with some of these Mercury and Pisces transits. So just try to stay in there, and also try to receive support if you can from a counselor, a therapist, or even like an astrologer. You know, your 7th house can be me saying to you, look, you're not going to be able to please everybody this month. You know, be there, be attentive, be connected, but at the same time, you know, your mind is really on what's going on with work. And if you're getting too overly consumed and sucked into stuff relationship-wise, it can kind of throw you off a little bit professionally. And then you're going to see on the 25th of the month, Mercury will conjunct Saturn in Pisces. Okay, so Saturn is your 5th house lord of romance, creative projects, children, and dating. This is a time that you want to pay attention, because you may be having a serious conversation with somebody and they might be like, do you still love me? You know, do we still want to be together? Are we getting married? You know, are we ready for this? You know, do we want to have a family? Or do you want to be with me? You know, do you want to live with me? Do you want to do life with me? Something serious in that regard is going to be coming up. And it might mean that you need to have a heart-to-heart with somebody about how they're feeling, or, you know, addressing like, hey, I'm noticing you're kind of down. What's going on? Let's talk about it. What do you need? I love you. I'm here for you. It could also be about the relationship that you have with one of your children, okay? It could be your first or your second child if you have two. Maybe you're talking to your first child about your second child. Maybe you're talking to your partner about something going on with your children. But there's definitely like a heart-to-heart that's going to be kind of happening here about these topics, okay? All right. That's what I've got for you. Short and sweet, but you know what? You guys need all of your energy for March and April. Trust me, when you see those months, your eyes are going to pop out of your head. So let's see what the cards I have in store for you, my Virgos. Card that I get for you is the Four of Swords, which is interesting. This is a card that's like about letting situations lie. When I think of the Four of Swords, it definitely reminds me of Pisces. It's like, I need to sleep on it. I really need to think about it. It's kind of like a hanged man energy. And Four of Swords can feel like you're damned if you do, you're damned if you don't. And some of you guys might feel like that with some of the conjunctions and the squares this month, that you can't appease everyone. When the truth is that North Node, Neptune, Saturn, Mercury, Sun, and Pisces, other people are nuts. They don't know what they want. They don't know where they're going. They're lost. And there is like a need to really be patient and allow people to go through their process before you decide to make any big decisions when it comes to living with them, working with them, you know, being in a relationship with them. And the Four of Swords is a card that is about taking a step back and being like, there's nothing you can do right now. You have to wait. And I would say that for a lot of you guys when it comes to relationship or matters when it comes to clients this month as well. You have to wait. You have to be patient. You have to wait for them to come around. And Pisces energy is weird. Pisces energy is very opposite to what people think it is. Usually if you're really wanting something, what you want, Pisces will give you the opposite. So when I look at this and I'm like, some of you guys really want a reconnection. Some of you guys really want to hear back from somebody. Some of you guys really want a relationship. Some of you guys really want to try to figure out what's wrong with another person. And I would say, stop focusing on that. Don't do that. You remind yourself when the time is right, somebody will show up. Until then, I'm content. I don't need a perfect partner. I don't need to be with anyone. I'm good on my own. I'm fine. I'm happy. I'm fulfilled. Watch if you actually do that for the next month, how things will turn around, how partners will come around, how you will meet people, how things will actually shift in your love life. You have to be patient. You have to wait. This is about taking time and not taking any actions right now over the next 4 weeks. And you will see those changes actually happening next month in March. Okay? I hope that's helpful. I will catch you guys back here next month when you got that big eclipse in your sign. Hey Libra, Libra rising. Welcome to your February 2025 horoscopes. I hope you're doing well. I'm excited to chat with you. We've got some Venus stuff that's going to be happening this month. So of course I'm going to start with that. As you guys know, in March, Venus will be turning retrograde. And I know it's February, but since the end of January, Venus has entered into shadow. So we're actually going to see Venus leave Pisces this month at the beginning of the month, and she will be moving into Aries. So I'm just giving you guys the heads up. Venus rules yourself, your body, your image. And she's also connected to joint finances, resources, investments, psychological things, and change. So Venus is going to be spending most of the month of February in your 7th house of relationships. So the positive here is that it is increasing opportunities for you to have clients, for you guys to meet people, focus on your relationships and your one-on-one connections. However, you guys are going to see with Venus in its shadow, you can be starting to see some of the effects of what's going to be reworked or changed in the month of March. So on the 4th of February, Venus will go into Aries. This is an amazing time to be focusing on committed partnerships, marriages, anything in regards to romantic relationships. As you know, you are Venus, so you're going to be taking more action in this part of your chart. And we will also see that there is going to be a huge emphasis with planets in your 6th. Now, outside of that, nothing is really happening. We won't see the retrograde until the beginning of March. It's not unusual with Venus being in shadow in the 7th house. You're either hearing from people from the past, you're thinking about reconnecting with people from the past, old clients, old relationships, as well as your astrologer, your therapist, your managers, people like that might start kind of coming around. Now, other than those transits, we are going to see on the 14th of the month, Mercury is going to enter into the sign of Pisces, and it does pretty well in the 6th house. It's able to get organized, focus on health, productivity, your office space, as well as your pets. But Mercury will be making some aspects which it will retrograde back through in March. So for some of you guys, you're looking for new offices, you're wanting to find a better kind of flow with your routine, thinking about going to the gym, going to the doctor, doing your checkups, and anything revolving around your mind, body, spirit balance is going to be the focus this month. Now, Mercury is connected to the South Node, so anything that you have been failing to do, or bad habits or things that you're wanting to kind of clear out or get organized, are definitely going to come up in your 6th house. Mercury also is connected to your 9th, which deals with education, travel, as well as your belief systems. So if you need to reconnect to a doctor, if you're needing to strategize making plans for traveling, if you're needing to make time for studying, all of that stuff can kind of come up with this particular transit. Now, on the 18th of the month, you're going to see the sun move into Pisces. So there is a huge emphasis on this part of your chart this month. The sun going there tells me that it's about kind of team efforts, working together, connecting with fellow employees or people who can help you, whether that's assistants or people who are going to help you get clean, get organized, get healthy. These are going to be your primary goals for February and March of this year. Now, we've got some planets going direct this month. You're going to see Jupiter is going to go direct in Gemini, and this will be on the 4th in your 9th house of traveling, education, law, and legality. If you have been wanting to travel, go back to school, focus more on your belief, your philosophies. If you're wanting to go to a foreign land, all of these things are possible. This is also really good for publishing and anything in regards to bringing attention to your business. So like marketing campaigns and things like this can go well here also. Now we will see on the 23rd of the month, Mars is going to station direct. So it actually started its retrograde in December in Leo in your friendship zone, and it retrograded back into your 10th house. So a lot of my Libras and Libra risings have been reevaluating the direction they're going with their career. It can also be revolving around parenting themes, your professional relationships with people out in the world, and your status. So if you've been feeling a little burnt out on work, or that projects have been taking a long time to complete, or maybe you've been taking a little bit of a hiatus from work or taking your time trying to figure out what direction you're going in, now Mars waking up is going to give you a little bit more action and momentum when it comes to making your professional goals a reality. You will see Mars spend the entire month of February in this sign, and it's a little sleepy as it's waking up, so it's going to take a little bit of time to start to see some of that stuff come into action. But I think with like the eclipses and the retrogrades that are taking place in your 6th, you're going to see a lot of this stuff kind of moving forward as you get into March and April. From February 23rd through the 28th, we've got a short window in time where we're going to have all planets direct, so I encourage you to make the most of those days. Even though we have Venus, which is going to be in shadow, reevaluating relationships, Mercury will be in shadow as well, where it's going to be kind of backtracking back into your health zone. Some of you guys are going to be reevaluating relationships, or reevaluating relationships that you have with clients or with business partners. On to the lunations for the month. On the 12th of the month, we're going to see a full moon in the sign of Leo. So this will be taking place in your 11th house. This is a time where there can be goals that are being met. There can be parties, gatherings, get-togethers, and things that are happening revolving around networks. So joining clubs, joining groups online, group presentations, or something that you are going to be showing your audience is definitely going to be the theme. The only challenge here is that this full moon is going to square Uranus in your 8th. So it does mean that you're kind of rolling the dice, you're taking a chance with something that you're putting out there, and it can have some big surprises when it comes to money and resources or any joint funds that you have with other people. On the 27th of the month, we're going to have a new moon in Pisces, and this will be in your 6th house of health, work routine, habits, and pets. Now, if you're looking for a new office space, if you are looking to commit to a new gym or a new health routine, maybe you want to make some changes to your diet, or maybe you're just wanting to commit to a new schedule that feels like it's kind of more in flow for you, I really recommend doing this on this new moon. It will be ruled by Jupiter, so it's going to square Jupiter in your 9th, which means if you want more playtime, more travel, more time to write, publish, or learn, then you got to get organized under this new moon. What I like about this is in 6 months' time, it'll become a lunar eclipse in Pisces. So you will see in the fall of 2025, there will be an eclipse in your 6th house of work and routine. And it will be trining Jupiter, which is the ruler, which will be in your 10th of career. So Libras and Libra risings are really going to want to use this to commit to a lifestyle or a schedule or a job that's going to be more in flow for your life, making it, I think better organized and more productive so you can have a lot more growth and obviously positive things that can come in your career, but also for like parenting themes come the summertime in 2025. Now, as for the other transits this month, we are going to be seeing, let's see, with the first transit that's going to happen on the 1st, Venus conjunct the North Node and Neptune in Pisces. Now, my Libras have to pay attention to this because it's really important. Venus rules your chart. We see the North Node Neptune conjunction every 17 years or so. But with this happening with Venus, it means that you're dedicating yourself to a cause. You're dedicating yourself to service, helping people, a job that feels like it's got some kind of meaning. Maybe you're dedicating yourself to a routine that's going to be a spiritual practice. Maybe it's going to be helping other people. And you're also committing more seriously to your health and your emotional habits. You need to be careful with self-diagnosis here. You need to also be careful with strange and weird symptoms or feeling under the weather. Digestional issues and immune system issues or problems with your feet can definitely kind of come up with these transits, so be mindful of that. Keep an eye on your pets and your pet's health here as well, and any issues that can come up with allergies. Now, on the 9th of the month, we're going to see the Sun conjunct Mercury in Aquarius. This will be a cazimi in your 5th house of romance, creativity, self-expression, and children. It might mean that you have a creative breakthrough of some kind. You have a dream or a vision of something in regards to a future project, a romantic relationship, or there's like an epiphany about your love life. It's possible that there can be some kind of secret or something unexpected that can become visible when it comes to your children or when it comes to romantic partners. It is possible that there can be contact or connection from people in other countries that are wanting to connect, collaborate with you, or they might have like a romantic crush or interest on you as well. Then we're going to have on the 10th and the 11th some staticky transits. So we're going to see planets in the sign of Aquarius squaring Uranus in Taurus. Basically, on the 10th, you're going to see Mercury in your 5th house come into a square with Uranus. Mercury can represent something that's in your subconscious, something that's hidden, or something in regards to a dream that is kind of coming into conflict with Uranus. 5th house is speculative, so taking chances with money, investing, children, or dating. There could be some conflict in communicating some of these values when it comes to you and another person. There can also be some challenges revolving around gambling or your romantic life and communication with younger people or romantic partners. Then on the 10th of the month, then on the 11th of the month, you're going to see the Sun come into the square with Uranus as well. And the Sun represents your friends, playmates, allies, people who are giving you some kind of challenge either financially or energetically about a child, a creative project, or a romantic partner. So it's going to be kind of feeling like it's hard to please other people with that. You may also be feeling like you're overcoming some childhood issues or issues revolving around matters of the heart and learning to take chances and embrace the unknown. Now on the 20th of the month, you're going to see Mercury in Pisces square Jupiter in Gemini. So Mercury will be in your work, habits, and health zone. It will come into a square with Jupiter, which means that there can be some confusion with your scheduling, your health, or your work, and some conflict revolving around that and traveling. Mercury can be unexpected, so unexpected work changes, unexpected health changes, unexpected things with pets. And it is going to feel a little bit bigger than normal, where you're like, oh my gosh, how do I, overcome this issue? We want to be optimistic with squares to Jupiter. We want to really practice good communication. And we also want to be mindful that you know, there is a lot of confusion in Pisces. So we don't really know which direction things are going to go yet with our work, with our health, with our schedules. And we need to have either a teacher, a mentor, or some kind of practitioner that can be giving us really good advice on how to navigate these problems. 6th and the 9th house can also deal with law and legality. So legal matters, dealing with lawyers, processing documents or paperwork can also be a theme here as well. Then on the 25th of the month, you're going to see Mercury conjunct Saturn in Pisces. So there is a serious, you know, attention to detail day, basically. Mercury can represent where you're feeling exhausted, tired, burnt out, or becoming aware of a bad habit that you need to take care of, that you need to either cease or that you need to deal with. Might mean that you need more rest. It might also mean that there is some challenge in regards to showing up into the office and you're having to do work from home. Taking care of a pet, taking care of an older family relative, and helping other people might be the theme of the day. Pay close attention to your mental health because Mercury and Saturn conjunction in the 6th can talk about where there are negative mental health issues or thought patterns or kind of feeling a little heavy or even stuck or depressed is kind of getting you in a bit of a funk and making it more challenging for you to be able to be productive. 6th house is things like not just our habits, but what we're eating, what we're drinking. It can also talk about medications and other things that we're taking that can be either helping or hindering us when it comes to productivity. My advice is knowing that your chart ruler is going to retrograde next month into the 6th house. The 6th house is sometimes where we hash out issues with other people. So it can mean that you're hashing out issues with people at work, you're hashing out issues with assistants, you're hashing out issues with your partner. And there can be like a need to reconnect to therapists, support systems, people who can be counselors or, you know, therapists of some kind to help you work through some of these problems. And this is where you're going to be doing most of your work actually next month in the month of March. Okay. Hopefully that's helpful for you guys and giving you some heads up on the month ahead. Let's take a look and let's see what the cards say for you, my Libras and Libra risings. Okay, well, the card that I got for you is the Star card. There you go. It's kind of shiny. The Star card, which is interesting because this is about Aquarius. Okay, so it can be talking about matters of the heart, things to do with children, things to do with your inner child, your inner artist, your inner romantic, your happiness, your joy, and needing to protect that, needing to focus on healing. This is a card that's about healing. So do you need to make amends with people? Do you need to heal relationship matters? Do you need to dive deep into that and recognize and realize where some of these things that have been kind of hanging out in your subconscious, creating some problems, need to finally be addressed and worked out so that way you're not kind of carrying all that stuff with you and so it's not impacting your health or your habits. I think so. You might find some support or some help coming from a friend or coming from an Aquarius. Good luck. I'll catch you guys next month in the month of March. All right, we've got my Scorpios and Scorpio risings. What's going on, guys? Welcome to March of 2025. Excited to chat with you. And I bet you're happy that Mars is going direct this month. So that's worthy of celebrating, considering Mars is one of your chart rulers. Since the month of December, we have seen Mars retrograde, and it actually started in your 10th house of career reputation. So you've been rethinking and reworking something about who am I out in the world? What am I doing for work? What direction do I want to change? Am I going back to a job? Am I not? Am I changing direction with my profession? Am I retiring? And it's really been about, you know, where you're hoping to start some new kind of schedule or habit of some kind. So Mars will go direct on the 23rd in Cancer in your 9th house. And some of my Scorpio and Scorpio risings have made the decision to go back to school, to do some traveling, to go and get some certifications. Maybe they have been thinking about reconnecting to teachers or finishing up, you know, education paths that they did not complete. If you have felt like it's been slowing down traveling, well, Mars can help you travel now that it's going direct as well. It'll spend the whole month in the sign of Cancer, and it's going to take a little bit of time to wake up, but eventually it will, in April, be coming back into your 10th house where you can make some changes more permanently when it comes to your career or your status. Now, Jupiter will also be going direct this month, and it has been retrograde in Gemini in your 8th house. So there has been maybe this feeling of lack of willingness to change, or there has been lack of funds, or there has been less support coming in financially from other people, maybe delays with refunds, insurance matters, maybe investments, or even in inheritances. So with Jupiter going direct now, starting on the 4th of the month, you are going to have more access to money, to paying off debt, to loans. You're going to have more support from your partners as well when it comes to income. And that's going to be really positive for you if you're also thinking about saving or investing. Now, on the 4th of the month, Venus will enter into the sign of Aries. So it will leave your 5th house, move into your 6th house. A little difficult here. Venus in the 6th house, it can be about needing to work harder in relationships, needing sometimes to take action to help other people. Definitely, Venus deals with love, money, and pleasure. So you're going to find pleasure in places where you're working out. You're going to find it in gyms. You're going to find it at work. You're going to be focusing on relationships with people in your professional zone. So like other employees or people that are offering you services. The challenge here is that Venus rules your 12th house as well as your 7th house. So this can mean that, there are some relationship issues coming up that need to be aired out. Maybe you feel like a partner is a little distant, or they're kind of going through some changes where they need to kind of be alone. It could also mean that you're really focusing on taking some of your kind of hidden relationship issues and finally dealing with them and working on them or working through them. And it can also be a great time for like pets or anything in regards to investing in your health. Venus will spend the whole month here, and at the beginning of March, she will actually retrograde back from the 6th into the 5th. So it's going to be positive in March and April for your romantic relationships, I believe. But it's like in order to better existing relationships, you have to confront some of the issues that have been coming up now. I do think that I would pay attention because, the 12th house to the 7th is the 6th. So there can be some things going on in regards to relationships and partners and clients that you're not aware of that you're going to have to deal with basically for the next 2 months. Anyway, other than that, we're also going to see Mercury ingress into Pisces. So Mercury will leave your home zone, go into your 5th house, where you're going to kind of have the mind on children, romance, dating, self-expression, self-employment, creative projects, investing, and gambling. Mercury rules other people's money and investments, and Mercury also rules your goals or themes revolving around your friends. So maybe you're working on parties, celebrations, thinking about social engagements, ways to be able to create things to entice an audience, things that you can maybe be investing in, and it's definitely a really strong time for self-expression as well as dating. You will see on the 18th of the month, then the sun joins the group, and you're going to have the sun, Mercury, Saturn, North Node, Neptune, all in your 5th house. I think that this is a water sign, so like it's going to play better basically with your chart. It's also playing very nicely with Mars in Cancer. So this is very watery when it comes to the future of your home, your family, your self-expression, your romantic life. And the sun is really highlighting where you're taking action or you're taking responsibility for something. For a kid, for a creative project, for a romantic relationship. It can be also about starting your own business. Now on the 23rd to the 28th, we are going to see that there will be all planets direct for a short couple day period before we see the retrogrades at the beginning of March. So utilize that time wisely because the universe is saying we've got a couple days where things are a little bit more clear. But keep in mind that Venus as well as Mercury will be in shadow, and we might start seeing the bumps in terms of the changes you're going to make with your health habits, your work zone, as well as your love life in March and April. Now for the lunations this month, you're going to be seeing that there is going to be a full moon taking place in Leo, and this will be happening in your natal 10th house at 24 degrees. A full moon happening in the 10th is an all eyes on you moment. This can be a big turning point when it comes to your career or your status. You could launch a business, you could be taking a job, you could be quitting a job. It almost looks to me like with the most recent Mars-Pluto opposition, a lot of Scorpio and Scorpio risings have felt like it's hard to balance a work situation and a family situation, and that something has to give. So when you have this full moon now that comes through here, you know, obviously, especially if you have any Scorpio placements like 22 to 25 or 26 degrees, you will have a, you know, a square taking place with your planets. A grand fixed square if you have Scorpio planets there. Anyway, this tells me that with the full moon in your 10th and the square that it's going to make to Uranus in the 7th, some of the changes happening at work are being brought on by a client or a business partnership, a romantic relationship, a spouse, and your status may change in a very significant way. So some of you guys will go, well, I'm going from being a, you know, employee to a CEO. I'm going from being, you know, somebody's girlfriend to their wife, or I'm going from being, you know, married to being divorced. Something like that is going to suddenly be brought on by another person. And a relationship is definitely shaking things up about the future of your career as well as your home. Take a deep breath, know that change can be good, and if things are kind of dissolving, it's bringing something new to the forefront. On the 27th of the month, you're going to have a new moon in the sign of Pisces, and it's in your 5th house of romance, creativity, and self-expression. So new creative projects, focusing on family, children, pregnancy, meeting new people, dating. You know, this is a big theme when you have a new moon in your 5th house. What I like about this is that it is squaring Jupiter in your 8th house. So it is kind of saying in order to really be in love, you have to be willing to take chances. In order to have a lucky streak and make money, you have to be willing to roll the dice and kind of gamble. I think for a lot of you guys, it's going to be about investments and like speculative stuff and investing in the markets or investing in yourself and your creative projects. Now, 6 months down the road, this new moon will become a full moon lunar eclipse in Pisces. And when that happens in your 5th house, it's going to trine Jupiter in Cancer, which will be in the 9th, and it'll be exalted. I'm predicting that for some of you guys, this is going to open the door, make it possible for you to have more money to travel, to have vacations, more money to also feel like you can expand your home or your family, relocate. It will be really good for your love lives. Some of you guys might be actually either having children, getting engaged, or getting married. Some of you guys are also going to be sending your kids off to school. They will be actually going to college and doing things like that. Or you may be teaching or publishing something. That might be something that will come from this eclipse as well. So be creative, work with all these energies in your 5th house. Feel inspired by some of these energies that are going to be more emotional and kind of sensitive. Now, at the beginning of the month, on February the 1st, we're going to see Venus conjunct the North Node and Neptune in the 5th house. Well, Venus conjunct Neptune is definitely very like etheric, very vibey, very sensual, and it can be great if you have hobbies that are like performing, writing, dancing, photography, anything that's going to be more expressive. So you might be feeling inspired to work on projects like this. And Venus is about relationships, and so it can be about falling in love with someone or something, and really being in tune with them and like focusing on romance. Like that's going to be the focus there. The challenge is that with the North Node and Neptune, there could be somebody you're meeting, but you're like, who are they? What's going on? Like, you know, is this a potential long-term relationship or partner? You know, is this potentially the real deal? You're going to be working that out in March and April. On the 9th of the month, you're going to see Sun conjunct Mercury in Aquarius. So the Sun conjunct Mercury, the Cazimi, is going to be about an epiphany, some information coming to light, something that is pretty significant when it comes to either your home, your family, or one of your parents. Mercury is connected to joint income, resources, taxes, debt, as well as inheritances and death. And it's also about the 11th house of goals. So you might be having a breakthrough where you're like, okay, you know, we have managed to save enough money to get a down payment for a house, and you're just realizing that. Or there is some secret or information coming out within the family about money or about siblings or about a really significant or dramatic change kind of connected to your home. Something that's missing can be found. I would also say that this can be about one of the parents experiencing a really significant shift when it comes to their home life as well. So it doesn't have to be you, it can be one of your parents. And maybe even like a heart-to-heart conversation about what is changing when it comes to the family dynamics. Now on the 10th and the 11th of the month, there is some static. We are going to see planets going through your home zone, coming into a square with Uranus in your relationship zone. So first thing that you're going to see is on the 10th, Mercury in your fourth house of home, where there's going to be more focus on, you know, communication with family, relatives, parents, will square Uranus. And this means that there can be something that is said in the home, like a parent comes to visit, a family member is visiting, or a conversation that you're having with one of your parents can definitely rock the boat in a relationship, or it can kind of be pressing on a relationship a little bit. It can also mean that, you know, you're not seeing eye to eye with a partner or a spouse about a home issue or about a change that's going to be happening in the home or home expenses. And then on the 11th of the month, then the sun in your fourth house, which is most likely going to be about a male figure in the home, a father figure, or something in regards to a male relative, will then square Uranus. And that means that then there could be some kind of conflict or tension revolving around who's running things at home, who's in charge. There could be some, you know, some strife over a property or a domestic issue like land or ownership over a home. And that's also going to create a little bit of some ruffles with a relationship as well. Certainly if you're a single Scorpio or Scorpio rising, it's easier to navigate. It might mean that you're deciding to make a change in your home or your living situation, which could better the likelihood of a relationship or meeting someone. But yeah, those are the 2 days that I would say try to keep things peaceful on the home front with relationships and family. On the 20th of the month, you're going to see Mercury in Pisces square Jupiter in Gemini. So Mercury in your fifth house, the children, creativity, self-expression, is coming into a square with Jupiter in Gemini. So to me, it almost looks like there's like a heart-to-heart that you're having with yourself about how you feel when it comes to romance, vulnerability, intimacy, you know, sexual encounters, and also how you feel about children or having a family or inner child stuff that can come up. Mercury in the fifth might be conversations you're having with romantic partners or children, which is really pressing you to be open to change, especially when it comes to finances or joint assets of some kind. There can be secrets that are coming out in regards to matters of love and money. Then on the 25th of the month, you're going to see Mercury conjunct Saturn in Pisces. So this is about having a serious conversation about investments, about spending, about joint assets, insurance, things revolving around in savings or your partner's money, and also like having discussions about, do we invest in this? Do we take out money for this? Do we make the decision to renovate the home? Do we decide that we want to move, you know? And you're kind of weighing your options and you're going back and forth whether or not now is the time to do these things. It can also be about having a serious conversation either about children or with children, or having the need to kind of like define something in a romantic relationship. It's like, are we together? Do you love me? Are we doing this? And also, I think it's really going to be about checking in with your heart space all month as planets are kind of going through the fifth house. And then you will see retrogrades happening there next month. Truth is, even though some of this stuff sounds difficult, I think Scorpio rising is going to fare a lot better than a lot of other people, because really the universe is asking you what's going to make you happy. What do you love? Whether it's a hobby, a person, a place, a thing. And it can be really powerful for getting back into creative projects, back into dating, or you know, going back to hobbies and things that you used to love to do. Okay? All right, Scorpio, let's see what the cards say for you for the month ahead. The card that I got for you is the Empress. Oh, Scorpio. My question is does this deal more with your mom or being a mother, right? Or motherhood? Obviously, the Empress is all about Venus. It's also all about motherhood and nurturing and caring. Look, you're going to be having eclipses in your fifth house in this next year. You're going to have both a Mercury and a Venus retrograde there over the next 2 months. you have the North Node and Saturn there. There is a need to find love that is real. There is a need to nurture and mother and be your own parent. There is a need to deal with inner child issues. There is also probably some timely things going on revolving around your kids, your responsibility to them, whether or not you're going to have them, whether or not now is the time, or you're thinking more seriously in your relationships or dating as to whether or not that's something you want to do, right? So I wonder if some Scorpio and Scorpio risings are thinking about starting a family, or they're finding out they're pregnant, or things like that can be happening throughout these transits for you the next couple of months. Good luck. I'll catch you guys back here in the month of March. All right, we've got Sag and Sag rising. What's going on, Sag? Welcome to February 2025. I hope you're doing well. Excited to chat with you this month, and I've got some good news. It's a bit of a mixed bag for the mutable signs, but for you, Jupiter, your chart ruler, is coming back online. It is going to go direct at the beginning of the month on February the 4th. So this means that where, Jupiter has been retrograde and you've been maybe reevaluating relationships, slowing down when it comes to dating, maybe you've been reevaluating an existing relationship, maybe you have been really trying to be more positive and optimistic about the future, but you haven't really seen the light at the end of the tunnel. Now things are going to get better. So you'll have more support from friends, from siblings, romantic partners, spouses, as well as therapists or your astrologer, me, in regards to Jupiter going direct. So if you're wanting to start dating, if you want to commit, you want to talk about getting married, you want to talk about, anything revolving around moving in together or movement, these things are going to be a lot more positive for you and your partner. Now, we're also going to see Mars go direct this month. And it has been retrograde since December, and it started its retrograde in your 9th house of travel, law, legality, ceremonies, and your belief system, and it dipped into the 8th house in Cancer, which is kind of difficult, to be honest with you guys, because this means that there's been a lot of working out your fear or hidden matters, when it comes to finances, when it comes to home and property, when it comes to going back to therapy, dealing with, other people's money, dealing with hang-ups with insurance and money owed and inheritance or children. Like, it's been a lot. So it going direct now means that when it comes to your sex drive, when it comes to your creativity, your children, and when it comes to combating your fears, now you can move full steam ahead. Mars will spend the whole month in this particular sign, so give it a little time to wake up. But I do feel like this can be positive for getting, money out of investment accounts. It can be really helpful for finally settling out if there's been inheritance issues, if there's been tax issues, property issues, like now things are going to kind of clear up. You're going to see from the February 23rd to the 28th, all planets will be direct for a few short days, which is really good news. It means that we can kind of get some stuff done. Just keep in mind that both Venus as well as Mercury will be in shadow. So actually in March, we'll see Venus and Mercury retrograde from your 5th house of children and creativity, self-expression, dating into your 4th house, which means some of you guys are either rearranging your home for a child, you're maybe considering how kids factor into your living situation, or moving in with a partner. You may also be making more time in your home to spend time with your kids, or a space for hobbies or for creative projects. So some of those things will get reworked if you try to start them basically in February. Now, on the 12th of the month, you're going to see a full moon in Leo. This will be in your 9th house of traveling, education, philosophy, and also your belief system. A full moon here can have you at an airport. It can be about traveling, being on a plane, booking a trip, or completing a trip. And it's going to be in the 9th house in opposition to the sun in the 3rd. So it's also about information, communication, traveling, learning. What's difficult is that it's going to square Uranus in your 6th house. So Uranus is always a wild card, but when we have a full moon that squares Uranus, it means something is going to be kind of coming from your 6th house of health, pets, habits, or work that's creating a little bit of like a snag. So it's like maybe you're like trying to get time off to travel, but work is just so inconsistent and it's hard to kind of get time scheduled or get time off that it's overwhelming. you're trying to travel, but there can be some health challenges coming up, or you're trying to figure out coverage for a pet, or maybe communications and kind of getting around and scheduling things feels kind of staticky. So I would not recommend traveling on this moon or booking anything or planning anything. Wait until it's over with to do that. Then you're going to see on the 27th of the month, there will be a new moon in Pisces. And this new moon will be coming in your 4th house of home and family. So if you are wanting a new home, if you want to move, if you want to, you know, sell a property, rearrange a house, you're thinking about a renovation, you want to go back home and visit your family more, all of these things are possible under a new moon here. And this new moon is actually going to square Jupiter in Gemini. So it means that the new beginnings that are coming are being supported and encouraged by a relationship. So maybe you've got a partner who will help you move. Maybe you've got a sibling who says, hey, I'll come home and I'll help you sort through things. Maybe this means that you're moving because you're moving in with a partner, or you're moving in with a family member, or something like that can be kind of coming up. What's good about this new moon is, even though it's in a sign that's uncomfortable for Sag and the mutable signs in general, it is laying the groundwork for what you're going to be doing the next 2 months, which is being more attentive to your home life, your family, a property matter, or just kind of being home more. You also are going to see this new moon turn into a full moon lunar eclipse in 6 months' time in the fall of 2025. And when this becomes a full moon lunar eclipse, where there is some major completion when it comes to home and family, maybe you have finished the renovations, maybe you are then ready to move, maybe it means that then you have really bettered your living situation in some way, it will be trining Jupiter in your 8th house, which means that likely you will be getting an inheritance, or your spouse or your partner will come into some money, or there is going to be, because you've renovated or changed things, or maybe you've moved back home, you've saved money, and 6 months from now you're like, now I can buy a place, or I have a down payment, or I can afford more, or I've moved in with a partner so I have more savings, right? So it's actually going to benefit you. I know some of you guys are really going to feel a little rattled with the retrogrades and the eclipses, where you suddenly have to go and take care of a parent, or you're having to move, or you find out that your rent isn't being renewed. Some of you guys are still trying to find your home, so you're going back home. Don't worry. I promise you this. In 6 months' time, you're going to look back and you're going to go, oh, well, I was being ushered out of there because this new thing was coming, and like, it's going to be so much better for me. So try to be optimistic with this new moon. Know that you're going to be in a much better financial and living situation down the road. All right, so aside from that, on February the 1st, we're going to see Venus conjunct the North Node and Neptune in Pisces. What does this mean? Well, Venus is about health and care and animals, and it's also about friends. And then you have got Neptune, which rules Pisces, and the North Node. So likely there's either going to be a situation where you're having to jump in and help take care of a parent, or you're helping take care of like an aging relative. Keep an eye on them revolving around water, kitchens, bathrooms, like, you know, obviously touch wood, but like keep an eye on that. Like if you know that you have an aging parent that has dementia, or that they're having mobility issues or anything like that, like keep an eye on them during this transit. The 4th house does have this connection also to endings, like ends of something. So you're like, that's it, we're moving mom. You know, I don't want to deal with her slipping in the shower, or I don't want to worry about her not being able to get around. And then you're like, we're taking care of this. We don't want her to be alone. That can come up. But this can also be a time where, if you're searching for the perfect fountain, the perfect person to remodel your kitchen, the, you know, perfect designer to come in and remodel your home, or real estate agent even to come in and take photos, or, you know, sell your property, this could be a transit where you could do that. All of my Sag risings, be very careful, because the retrogrades and the eclipses are basically saying you have to look at the foundation of your home. If you're buying something, it needs an inspection. Look for water damage, look for leaks and issues in kitchens and bathrooms. Also make sure that you don't have any weird things going on in properties that you are not currently at. If you're somebody who owns property and you're not there, you need to be checking your security. You need to be making sure that there aren't people who are trying to get into the home, or people who are kind of squatting around the home, because you can see that with Saturn and Neptune. You can see issues with like homeless people and other people who are trying to kind of like stay on the property. Unfortunately, that can happen. All right, with February 9th, you're going to see Sun conjunct Mercury in Aquarius. So Sun conjunct Mercury is the Cazimi, so that means that there's going to be some conversation you're most likely having with a sibling. It could be a phone call, text message, or email that kind of pops in out of the blue, and it's like getting in touch with family at a distance and being like, hey, this thing's going on, or I need your help, or, can you come here? Can you be here? And I wonder if this is tying to the other things that are going on with like property. Could it mean that a partner says, hey, I'm surprising you, we're going on a trip? Totally. Or you have somebody show up and surprise you and help you out with something? For sure. It could mean that you get an unexpected email or text message from like an old partner or somebody from the past. That could happen as well. But it's going to be most likely good communication because it's a positive aspect where you're planning something for a move or for a trip in the future. Now on the 10th and the 11th, we have some staticky transits. We're going to see squares happening from planets in your 3rd house of Aquarius to your 6th house Taurus in regards to work. So first we're going to have Mercury in the 3rd house square Uranus. Watch for car problems, electrical issues, and some snags revolving around scheduling when it comes to traveling, work, or movement. Now we can see some car issues, some electrical issues. We can see some communication breakdown, issues with like technology in the workplace or phones working, and issues with scheduling can kind of crop up as well. And then on the 11th of the month, we'll see the sun in your 3rd house squaring Uranus. And I can see this situation for Sag and Sag risings where it's like you scheduled moving a truck for something and then you didn't realize that you misscheduled something. And you're like, oh my God, I scheduled the wrong day. Or you schedule or you tell your family or your sibling or something, be here this day to help me watch the dog, and then you guys get your wires mixed up and it's like you don't have the wrong day on your calendar, something like that. If you're working with technology or transportation, just watch for some of those issues those days where there can be some problems, and you have to watch the way that you communicate with people in the workspace, because there can be some friction where you're like, oh my God, there's this thing I have to deal with, or I'm not going to be here that day, and there can be some strife that's going on with fellow employees or with coworkers, okay? Then we're going to see on the 20th of the month, Mercury in Pisces will square Jupiter. So Mercury in the home zone where you're communicating with family and you're talking to your family and maybe airing issues out, because Mercury deals with like confronting people in your 7th. So you're trying to confront and like discuss or talk to siblings, neighbors, or your partner about a matter that's going on at home. And to be honest with you, I feel like you're going to have the support of a therapist, you're going to have the support of a romantic partner, or somebody who's going to be like, look, this is how you navigate this is how you handle this. And they're trying to be optimistic and encourage you. But obviously with all these planets at the bottom of the chart, there's nowhere to go up but from here. You're at the bottom. So a lot of times you're going to be like, I'm stuck at home, I'm sick, I'm drowning in family stuff. I've got so much, so many heavy emotions coming up that you really need somebody who can kind of really boost you up and encourage you to keep going. I get it. I have Saturn and Neptune in my 4th house. I feel like, I could write a book on it. But I will tell you that you are wrapping something up, you're finishing something, and it's either family related or property related, and it's going to be over pretty soon. You're going to see things really lighten up as we get into the spring and the summer. But I feel like with Mercury square Jupiter, you need to keep an open mind and try to be more sensitive and attentive to other people's feelings emotionally at home. Then on the 25th of the month, you're going to see Mercury conjunct Saturn. So Mercury could be your partner, it could be your therapist, could be a sibling, it could be a neighbor, basically saying to you, hey, this is what needs to be done, or, this is what doesn't work for me, or I need more boundaries with my roommate. I need my partner to take responsibility for these things or handle these things. And Saturn can be about money. So it could be a time where somebody's giving you an estimate about, well, this is what it's going to cost to, help take care of an aging parent, or this is what it's going to cost to, build a fence around your yard, or this is what it's going to cost to, fix your flooring. And you're going to be like, do I want that? I don't know. I mean, it's going to be a difficult kind of communication period in general with some of the squares, but I would say, really, I would be asking myself, where do I need to really be taking responsibility for what's going on the home front? And Mercury deals with, work as well. So if you've got some pressing matter where you're like, I've got a pipe that burst, I've got an issue with a relative that's sick, I've got an emergency at home, you're going to be having to tell clients or people at work, I have to be here. This is an all hands on deck moment. I cannot be, there for you right now. This is what I've got going on. I need help. And you may have to really reiterate that because this is all ruled by Jupiter, and Jupiter's in the 7th. So some of you guys need the help of a sibling. You need a partner to step in. Maybe you need a therapist, or you need an astrology reading, somebody who can kind of talk to you about how to navigate all of this stuff at this time. So I hope that, what I'm telling you, it helps and it makes sense. I promise you things will get easier, okay? I've been through these transits, so I know how it goes. When you're kind of going through it, you don't really realize that, the 4th house also is with Saturn, there's family karma and there's marriage karma. This is the 10th house from your 7th. So you're working through some karmic stuff in regards to your marriage and your relationships that need to be kind of sussed out at this time. All right, so with that being said, let's see what the cards say for you, my Sag and Sag risings. The card that I got for you is the 2 of Swords. Okay, sorry, it's kind of shiny. 2 of Swords. This is about being in a situation where you're kind of like, I need to make a decision. And it's not necessarily an indecisive card, but it's a card where you're like, I really need to weigh my options and make a decision. And I need to, not wait too long, because it can create a lot of mental strife if you're going back and forth and back and forth and back and forth. Like, make a decision and stick to it. Which is interesting because, Mercury is going to retrograde back into this house. Venus is going to retrograde back into this house, which means if you can't make a decision right now about moving, do something temporary. If you can't make a decision right now about, buying a house or remodeling something, wait until the retrogrades come through. You're going to have the opportunity to come back to this in March and April. You don't need to do it right now. Really think long and hard about the pros and the cons in regards to this situation. I see this as a card that's associated with Mercury, so I feel like it's going to be about the best solution for your home or family matters. And I think you're going to be getting a lot of feedback or multiple different kind of perspectives from different people who can give you some food for thought. Okay? Catch you guys back here in March. Good luck. All right, we've got Capricorn and Capricorn rising. What's going on, Capricorn? Welcome to February of 2025. I hope you're well. Obviously, I'm going to talk to you about Saturn, and there is some Saturn stuff that is going on. We are actually going to see closer to the end of the month, we're going to see a Mercury-Saturn conjunction. So that's probably going to be the bigger transit for you for the month ahead. No real changes happening right now with Saturn. It's still in Pisces, so you're really thinking long and hard about how do I communicate? How can I learn something new? Am I traveling? Am I focusing on vehicles? Am I dealing with sibling or neighbor matters? Am I moving? And so Saturn is a little bit more cautious and conservative, okay? When you see the Mercury-Saturn conjunction in your 3rd house, it can be a serious conversation you are having with a fellow employee, or maybe it's going to be a business contract, or maybe you're signing a lease or a loan. It could also mean that you're committing to moving. This could also mean that there's themes coming up revolving around passports, visas, documents, legal documents, and stuff that you're having to sign. So that won't be until the end of the month, okay? So the month kicks off on the 4th when we see Venus ingress into Aries. So Venus will leave the 3rd house. It's going to go into the 4th. Well, Venus deals with home. Venus in the 4th house deals with home, but Venus for you actually rules work and career. So some of you guys might be working from home or building a home office, or you're thinking about going back to an old job, or you're focusing more on beautifying your space, decorating your home. You're starting to maybe look for a new home or a new property, or there is maybe a woman coming to visit you. So it can be somebody you worked with. It could also be a female family member that's coming to visit or stay with you at this time. Now, Venus is also about children and creative projects. So spending time with a younger child, decorating the home. Maybe this is going to be about some kind of celebration or get together or gathering at home as well. Definitely good for like at home date nights and creative projects at home that you can do also. On the 14th of the month, Mercury will ingress into Pisces, and you're going to see a huge emphasis on Pisces in your third house all month long. Mercury obviously deals with your health and habits. It also deals with traveling. So when Mercury goes into the third house, maybe you're studying, you're learning something new, you're watching videos or listening to podcasts about health, about productivity. Maybe you're learning a new language or you're thinking about planning a trip. You will see on the 18th of the month, the sun will ingress into Pisces. And so with the sun going there, there is some change or transformation of the mind. Maybe your mind is on, finding loans, investing money. Maybe you're signing documents pertaining to taxes, insurance, inheritance. And there's a lot of communicating and talking to maybe siblings or relatives about movement or changes when it comes to your joint finances. Now on the 4th of the month, Jupiter will go direct in Gemini. So it has been retrograde in your 6th house, where maybe you have felt like there has been a reevaluation of your health, your habits, or where you're working. Maybe you have felt like you're unsure about a new job that you started, or you're considering whether or not you want to take on a second job. Jupiter does deal with the 12th house of the subconscious and the private life. So when it goes direct, if you've been taking better care of your mental health, it will reflect in your physical health. Jupiter also is about communication. So communication can improve, especially at work. If you have been having car problems, they can get better. If you have been having any breathing issues, lung issues, or any issues revolving around expressing your emotions and speaking your mind, that's also going to clear up a little bit as well. If you have hired somebody to help you with your health or maybe with your website, if you have a website or something for online sales, that might also complete this month. Now on the 23rd of the month, Mars is going to go direct. So Mars actually started its retrograde in December in your 8th house in Leo, and it went retrograde into your 7th house of relationships. I've seen a lot of Capricorn and Capricorn risings that have been going back and forth either with a family member and having some drama because Mars rules family, or you have been going back and forth with a romantic partner, and maybe you broke up and then you guys took space and you've been deciding if you get back together or if you move back in together. Maybe there has been partners from the past that have come back and you're reassessing whether or not you want to stay with them. So now that Mars is direct, you're going to be able to take more action when it comes to your family relationships as well as your romantic relationships. And really make a decision as to whether or not, you can communicate with some of these trines to your 3rd house and get clarity, make peace, forgive, work through things. Or if you're done and you're like, no, that's it, that's a wrap, we're finally separating, we're not talking anymore, I'm moving or we're divorcing. Some of you guys will be making those decisions if you have not already. However, with Mars direct, I feel like this is really good for connecting with friends, focusing on your goals and relationships, and making the necessary cuts or changes to bring in the right person if you've been feeling like you're spinning your wheels. On February 23rd through the 28th, all planets are direct. So this basically means we have a couple-day window where nothing is retrograde. We can get some stuff done during those days. But what you want to know is that both Venus and Mercury are in shadow. So Mercury and Venus will turn retrograde in your 4th house of home, and it'll go back into your 3rd house. So that means that some of you guys will actually reconsider a move. You'll rethink something about signing a lease. You'll maybe move back home. Maybe it means that you're going to opt for traveling before you figure out where you want to land or where you want to buy a home. I would just say be careful about the decisions you make when it comes to home, property, and family, including decorating your home. With Venus going retrograde, some of you guys might be like, oh, well, I have this rental, but I'm going to buy all this furniture and I'm going to paint things, I'm going to do things. And I would be like, are you going to be there long enough? And also really reevaluating whether or not you're going to travel or be buying a vehicle. Really take your time with some of that stuff this month as well. On the 12th of the month, you're going to see a full moon in the sign of Leo, and this will be happening in your natal 8th house. And the full moon in the 8th house, it shakes out all the skeletons, guys. It definitely brings out the things that we've been afraid to deal with or confront or work through. It does deal with taxes, joint property, finances, as well as investments, spousal support, child support, money owed, that kind of stuff. If you've been waiting on a conclusion or a completion in regards to a tax matter, an inheritance, or some kind of joint income, or maybe you've been trying to settle something out with someone, this could be the time that happens. Very financial because it's going to be on the axis of your money versus other people's money, 2nd and 8th. And it squares Uranus. So honestly, this can be a big risk, big reward, that maybe you invested in something, or you're taking a chance and you're investing in something and it feels speculative, or like you're not sure if it's going to work out, but you're optimistic that it can. This could also mean that there are some shocks or surprises that are going on about previous investments and how they're playing out. Shocks involving your romantic life, your children, or if you're self-employed, your own business, and that it could be shocking how much money you're paying in taxes, you know, or how much money you've spent on a hobby, or there can be some kind of surprise in regards to an expense relating to a child. That is definitely possible as well. Now, for the other transits this month, on the 1st of the month, on February 1st, you're going to see a North Node Neptune-Venus conjunction in the 3rd. Venus is work, North Node is faded, Neptune isn't very clear, and Saturn is nearby. So, you know, in March and April, when Venus retrogrades and Mercury retrogrades, it's going to go back over Saturn, which basically means you're going to have the chance to, you know, give the green light on something, sign off on something, you know, finish a website. Maybe you decide then you're going to buy a car, then you're going to move. So I would just say with like Venus and Neptune conjunct in the North Node, there can be a conversation you have with somebody about money or about a potential future job that they're floating, and you're going to just want to listen to it. Don't count your chickens before they hatch. Don't assume that it's going to be the real deal. Be very careful buying used or refurbished items. So like used cars, used phones, used computers. Be very careful reading details and stuff on contracts, because you might miss a detail that's going to be very important. And you might kind of receive an email that comes from work that's like, what is this? This doesn't make sense. You know, like, what are they trying to say? So you're going to just be careful with any communications that day. And there can be some stuff that can kind of come up with a sibling or with a neighbor as well. Then you're going to see on the 9th, the sun will conjunct Mercury in Aquarius. Okay, so Mercury is about law, travel, and legality. It's also about settling lawsuits or things revolving around work. And the Sun-Mercury cazimi can actually be a good indication that if you've been waiting for a settlement, for a payout, for a refund, or if you have been waiting to get some good news financially from work, this could be the day that you get your good news, because the sun represents other people's money. So likely you're going to find out what direction this is going to go around this day. Now, on the 10th and the 11th, we do have some stressful aspects in the sky. We're going to be seeing planets going through Aquarius, squaring Uranus and Taurus. First, we're going to see Mercury in your 2nd house of money squaring Uranus, and there could be a little bit of conflict over how much money you're spending on children, on a romantic relationship, hobbies, or a speculative investment. Not a day to push negotiations over financial matters or to push romantic conversations. Then on the 11th of the month, the sun in your money house will square Uranus, and that could mean that if you take a leap of faith, or if you move too quickly on something the day before, it could be costly. You don't know what direction it's going to go or how that's going to be impacting a romantic relationship. So I would avoid pressing romance and financial matters on both of these days, because the squares to Uranus mean that it could be stressful and it could be costly, especially if you're gambling or if you're investing things. So be very careful with that. On the 20th of the month, we're going to see Mercury in Pisces square Jupiter in Gemini. So Mercury will be in your 3rd house of communication, squaring Jupiter. This tells me that you're really trying to communicate, connect, or get the point across to an employee, somebody who's providing a service, maybe something involving communication with your schedule. And you're going to feel like your schedule is like overwhelmed. It's going to be like having too many irons in the fire, too many emails, too many back and forth conversations, and it's kind of creating a bit of like a jumbled schedule for you. It could also mean that there's just too many documents, too much travel, that's going on, and you're like, I do not know how to kind of see my way through this. Like, I just need to take a breath and take a step back. Don't over communicate this day or over promise, because you might not be able to deliver. On the 25th of the month, we're going to see that Mercury-Saturn conjunction. I really feel like if there's any miscommunication going on for you from the 10th until the 25th. It's best if you wait until the 25th when Mercury is conjunct your chart ruler. You'll be able to see all the details. You'll be able to read all the fine print, the documents, everything revolving around your commitments, whether it's taking a job, moving, or signing a lease. And then you'll have a better understanding of what's going on, and you can commit more seriously. If you still don't know by the end of the month, stay flexible. You know, I'm going to tell you, Saturn, Neptune going in your 4th house. You've got Venus and Mercury retrograde in your 1st house. Some of you guys are better off doing a temporary housing situation, traveling or staying with family, or doing a rental until you figure out where you want to land. Do not do any rushed movement. Do not do any rushed things in regards to travel or cars, because it's all going to get reworked over the next 2 or 3 months. Okay? So I hope that that's helpful for you guys. Let me pull a card and tell you what I see. The card that I got for you is the King of Swords. Okay, so look for support maybe from a Gemini, Aquarius, or a Libra. But this could be you. I mean, very Mercury, Saturn is King of Swords. It's like meaning what you say and saying what you mean, not mincing words, being very particular, being very direct, especially when it comes to what you will or will not tolerate with communication, what does or does not work for you, especially if you're trying to kind of delegate tasks or be more assertive with people at work. If you don't know, don't say it. Make sure you really know what you're talking about, that you can commit to things, and really exercise your intuition, because I think Mercury, Saturn, and Pisces is saying knowing when to speak and knowing when to say nothing, knowing when to listen, knowing when to wait until that opportune time. And if you're serious about creating a website, writing a book, teaching a course, booking a trip, like your mind is going to be so much stronger the later that we get to the end of the month. Okay? Hope that's helpful. Catch you guys back here in the month of March. All right, we've got Aquarius and Aquarius rising. What's going on, Aquarius? Welcome to February 2025. Well, we've got some Saturn stuff and we've got some Uranus stuff. So obviously you're traditionally ruled by Saturn, which is hanging out in your money house. There is a huge emphasis on your money this and next month. Self-esteem, money, resources, possessions, values. This is like big headlines for February. And we are going to see some planets that are going to conjunct Saturn, pretty much just Mercury. So it's going to be like business negotiations and talking about money borrowed, money owed, and what you're getting back. And you're also going to see some Mercury squares from your sign to Uranus, which means there can definitely be a little bit of like the way that you're carrying yourself, communicating, and dealing with life. It is invoking some sudden change in the home, in the family, or with family dynamics. And you might be feeling a little cagey, or that you want to make sudden changes at home or with your living situation. Okay? So listen for whenever I say Uranus squares, Mars aspect, not Mars aspects, Saturn aspects. Okay? All right, so let's start with the ingresses for the month. So on the 4th of the month, we're going to see Venus is going to enter into Aries. So Venus will go into your 3rd house, where beauty and pleasure is found in communicating, short distance trips, buying gadgets, learning, being with siblings, hanging out with neighbors, vehicle, purchases or investments into vehicles can kind of be a theme here as well. Maybe you're thinking about planning a trip or taking a course because Venus is connected to your 9th. Or you're thinking about moving, traveling, or looking at property. Okay, watch for things that can come up with sisters and like aunts or female cousins here as well. Now, Venus is in shadow, so just a heads up, it'll retrograde back next month. So purchasing cars, purchasing travel, moving, just pump the brakes a little bit. You can think about it, but I wouldn't make any big decisions this month. Now, on the 14th of the month, Mercury will go into Pisces. So your mind is on money, resources, and trying to make sense of your finances. Mercury rules things like taxes, joint money, investments, and also things like spousal support, child support, inheritances. So it's almost like you're becoming aware of how much money you've invested in something, and you're like, okay, I want that back now. I want to pull money out of that. I want to cash out that investment. I want to take money out of a savings account. I want to take money out of something I've saved. Maybe it's because there's like a purchase that's coming up with that aspect. On the 8th of the month, then the sun goes into the second house. So then you're focusing on your spending power, your resources, maybe spending money on relationships. Maybe your relationship to money is changing or transforming in some way. Your values are changing. Honestly, very strong month for business. Strong month for business, strong month for finances. I feel like the next 2 months for Aquarius risings, if you've been working hard for the money, if you have been a team player, if you have been devoting your all to it, all these good things are going to be coming to you. You're going to see all of that start kind of playing out in March and April. So with the sun going in there, I think it's starting that process of like, okay, now people are starting to kind of give to you, or they're more generous with you. Now on the 4th of the month, Jupiter is going to go direct. So where Jupiter has been retrograde in your 5th house, maybe you've been reconnecting with an old romantic partner, reassessing something in regards to children, a self-employment situation. You've been getting back into dating, but you haven't really seen anything stick. Jupiter retrograde definitely squashes the fun. So I think between Jupiter retrograde and Jupiter square Saturn in December, you have not been as optimistic about maybe a new business venture or a new romantic relationship or children, but I think that's about to change. Jupiter can represent your, your friends, or it can represent your audience. So something you've been working on or creating might be ready to be received by other people. And it could be something that could make you some money. So if you make products, you sell things, you're going to start to see this is kind of picking up momentum. Then we're going to see on the 23rd of the month, Mars will go direct. So Mars has been retrograde since December. It started in your relationship zone and it dipped into your health habits and daily routine. Some Aquarius and Aquarius risings have been cutting back on a habit like smoking, or they have been maybe feeling like they've had to cut certain foods out of their diets because of allergies. Maybe it means that you have changed jobs, or you've cut back on your work hours. Maybe you've had to heal from an injury, or you have been trying to kind of just work on your health in general, and you have probably noticed there's a direct connection between your emotions and your physical habits. So Mars rules things like your lungs and breathing, so quitting smoking is good here. Maybe you have realized that not saying anything has been upsetting you emotionally, and you're learning to just better kind of communicate and talk about how you feel. Mars is also about work. So I kind of feel like a lot of this has been about restructuring where you're working, your schedule, how you're working, or working with employees. And maybe this restructuring has been slow, but now things are going to be able to proceed forward. So you can actually see work and health matters greatly improve once Mars goes direct on the 23rd. From the 23rd to the 28th, all planets are direct, and it's only a few short days, but hey, it means that everything is moving forward so we can get a lot of work done, so make the most of those days. Just keep in mind that Venus and Mercury will be in shadow. So in March, both of these planets are going to retrograde from your 3rd house into the 2nd, which is why I predict some of you guys really need to just wait before you buy a vehicle, before you move, before you buy a gadget, or plan any kind of short distance trip. You're going to want to reassess your money in March before you make any of these moves. Now, outside of that, we are going to see a full moon in Leo in your 7th house of relationships on the 12th of February. Big change of direction with romantic relationships, marriages, joint partnerships in your relationships with younger people or a child. Now, a full moon here can mean that there is some major conclusion or decision or just an emphasis on your relationship to another person, highlighting the axis of the sun in your 1st house and the moon in the 7th. So other people can be emotional. They can be kind of like dramatic with a full moon here. And it is squaring Uranus, your chart ruler. So partners are likely going to be reacting or responding to some dramatic change, shift, or something happening at home. They're weird about moving. There's an electrical issue and they make a big deal about it. The power goes off. There's issues with the internet and there's drama about it. Maybe they are confronting you about some changes that are happening in regards to the home or family because Uranus is you. So it can be something where you're having some little bit of squabbles with a relative over a home or a family or a domestic matter. So just take a breath, right? Remember that all these planets conjunct Saturn are really going to be about being patient, thinking things through, thinking about the financial repercussions of whatever happens for the rest of the month. Now, you will see on the 27th a new moon in Pisces. So a new moon in your second house is where you do your money manifestation, where you're like, okay, I'm focusing on increasing my wealth, bettering my self-esteem, focusing on spending habits, bringing in more resources and abundance, and feeling very confident in knowing your worth. What I like about this new moon is that it squares Jupiter. So it's basically saying that what's incentivizing you to bring in more is you're like, I want to take risks. I want love. I want more playtime. I want to gamble. I want to be creative. And so some of this creative, fun energy is prompting you to want to have more. Maybe you want more money for your kids. Maybe you want more money for hobbies or for your playtime. Or maybe you want more travel. I don't know, something like that, because it's Jupiter. And in 6 months' time, this will become a full moon lunar eclipse. And I predict for you that this eclipse in the fall is going to be one of the sweetest ones you're going to see all year. It is going to end up being in your house of money, and it will trine Jupiter in Cancer in your 6th, which means that probably money is going to be doing so well. Business is going to be doing so well. You may be finding that you have better health, better organization. You're able to hire more people for a company if you own your business. Maybe it also means that you're bringing in some kind of money from property or real estate, or it's making you feel like you have the capabilities of being able to improve your home in some way. So definitely use this new moon to manifest, because it can be really abundant for you down the road. Now for the rest of the transits this month, on February the 1st, you're going to see a Venus North Node Neptune conjunction in your second of money and income. Be careful here, because Venus Neptune means that if something looks too good to be true, it probably is. If it sounds too good to be true, it probably is. Watch out for foreign scams. Watch out for getting kind of catfish when it comes to transferring money or paying for trips or things of that nature. You're going to be longing to like book a flight to go somewhere where it's going to be tropical, or where there's water, or where there's going to be art and culture. And I would say now is not the day, because you may actually spend way more than you could or you should, or it may end up being accommodations that it's not going to be as nice as you think. I also would say be very careful with money. Money could go missing, or you might have, dropped your wallet somewhere. I mean, obviously, touch wood, hopefully not, but missing money is very Venus Neptune. Things go missing. So you want to be careful with expenses and things where somebody or something might have access to your accounts and there's money that goes missing and you're like, what is this? Also, I think a lot of you guys are going to want to be indulging in seafood, wine, jewelry, the finer things in life, things that are either like connected to the sea or things that are going to be art or beauty. And you got to be careful with counterfeit or like fake things. Okay, so be careful with that conjunction. But you can also feel more compassionate in that you want to donate to a cause or something that you feel like you can give to somebody who's in need. So that's okay as long as it's legit. On the 9th, you're going to see the Sun conjunct Mercury in Aquarius. And this could be the day that you're like, oh, I got, like that's what I'm thinking a couple of days later. Sun Mercury in the first house means you have an epiphany. There's an awareness. Your spidey senses are going to be really strong. And you're interpreting, or you're kind of bringing in messages psychically or intuitively connected to the 8th. Or you have a bright idea for an investment, or you have a hunch about an investment or about a business project. But this could also be a day where you're like, man, like I got, I thought it was real, and it wasn't, because the 8th house can represent crime. This could also be a day where you find out you're pregnant, because the Sun conjunct Mercury is definitely highlighting your 5th house, and Jupiter's in your 5th house as well. Maybe you have a creative breakthrough. Maybe you have a really insightful conversation with a kid, or there's some news you're sharing with a partner about what's going on with one of your children. Could also be a day where you meet someone that you're just like head over heels in love with. Now on the 10th and the 11th, we do have some tricky transits that are really going to be impacting you. We're going to see planets that are going to be going through Aquarius. Okay, so this is your actions with the Sun in the 1st house and Mercury in the 1st house. Your actions and your communication coming into some conflict with either a family member or like what you're thinking and what you want and what you have to say is not lining up with how you're living your life. Sun Mercury in the 1st house is like, I want to do my own thing. I want change. I'm ready for change. I want to be independent. I want to go my own way. And then when the squares happen to Uranus, it's like, well, but I'm not ready yet. I don't want to move yet. I don't want to deal with home and family stuff. Like I want to be on my own. So there's something clashing basically with these energies. And the sun is the first thing, the sun and Mercury in the first house is the first thing that comes to mind, your natural instinctual response. And you're responding and resisting some kind of change on the home or the forefront, the home front. So on the 10th, you're going to see Mercury in your sign square Uranus. Watch for difficulty with communication with family or relatives, especially over food, money, or resources. And then on the 11th, the sun in your first house will square Uranus. And I feel like this is about how you're responding to, like, if there's a power outage, if there's an electrical issue, if there's an issue with, the house or something, and you kind of just feel like you're fried and you're like, oh my God, this is just like so agitating, you're annoying, I can't find any peace at home. Family members are just driving me absolutely nuts, and you kind of feel like things are coming at you from all angles. So on the 10th and 11th, just take a chill pill, know that it will pass, but there's going to be some wonkiness in the air. On the 20th of the month, Mercury in your second house of money will come into a square with Jupiter. So you're like, okay, there's an expense that I need to have or that I need to pay, and I need to do this for my kids, for their sports or their hobbies. Maybe that you need to cough up some dough, for your own business, especially if it's going to be about creating a website or a blog or anything in regards to media. Mercury square Jupiter is just about not, I think, counting your chickens before they hatch. It's not being too overly optimistic, because there can be a sense of you being like, oh yeah, this is a good investment, this is a good trade, or for sure this person's going to be a good choice in terms of relationships. And I would say just don't be too overly optimistic about stuff yet, especially when it comes to love and finance. And then on the 25th of the month, Mercury will conjunct Saturn, which is important for you because this is after you've weighed your options about an investment or a romantic situation or something involving one of your children. Then you're going to kind of lay down the law. And Mercury conjunct Saturn makes me feel like you're going to cut someone or something off. You're going to go, no, you've already gotten your allowance this month, or I've given you enough money, or I'm taking the credit card. It could mean that you're like, I'm scaling back. I'm not spending as much money going out to the bars. I'm not spending as much money on, hobbies. I need to kind of save. I need to be more conservative. Or this is going to be about you feeling like you're needing to get repaid for something, right? Like I said, Venus and Mercury will retrograde in your second house. And you're going to see with the eclipses in March, if something is owed to you, it will come back to you. But this could be the time where you're like, I feel like I'm being taken advantage of, or I'm spending too much, or there's too much money going out. Literally like Saturn and Neptune in your second there is a hole in the bucket and there is water flowing out, and that water is cash. And you need to figure out, how can I remedy this? Or, how can I be more cautious of expenses? Or maybe you're saying we're not spending as much money on stuff to a partner, right? That could be happening because Mercury is somebody else's expenses. Anyway, money stuff all month long. That's going to be the theme. And try to navigate through those squares between the Sun and Mercury and Uranus the best you can. I do feel like there is change on the horizon when it comes to your home and your family situation. Try to roll with it. Don't resist that change. Card that I got for you is the Five of Coins. Obviously a difficult card if we're talking about finances and stuff. Five of Coins is like, I'm out in the cold. Sorry, it's kind of shiny. I'm not getting what I need. And it's not always about saying that it's going to be a situation where you're not going to have the necessary resources at hand, but it can mean that it's a turning point where you're like, I'm not getting what I need. I'm not charging enough. I'm not knowing my worth. I am going through a period where, maybe you're feeling like you're having a bit of a dry spell when it comes to your self-esteem as well. So what I'm predicting is what I've predicted all along, that things will be coming your way. But this can be the month where you're like, you know what? It's not good enough. People aren't contributing enough. The weight is really heavy when it comes to my expenses, and I'm really, really feeling that. And that, I think, is what's going to be propelling you into the future or the next 2 months, where you're going and rebuilding something financially and recouping what you need. But yeah, Saturn in the second house is cold out there. You're not always feeling like you have the support that you need, but it will be something that will be getting worked out next month. Okay? Good luck, my Aquariuses. I will catch you back in March. And last but certainly not the least, we have the Pisces and the Pisces risings. What's going on, guys? Welcome to February of 2025. I hope it's a good one for you guys, and I'm excited to chat with you. So much stuff is going on. Obviously, Pisces is kind of the star this month, so I'm curious to hear what's happening for you all. Obviously, lots of things are happening. Probably the biggest one is that your chart ruler, Jupiter, is going to come back online. So it's going to go direct. That'll be happening on the 4th. Jupiter has been retrograde in your 4th house, where you have been either going back home, reassessing a living situation, reconnecting with siblings or with neighbors, and maybe going back and forth between 2 homes. So if you have felt like you haven't had the time to make a decision about where you're living or what you're doing with a home or family matter, now this can, in theory, proceed forward this month. Now, the other big news is that there are a ton of planets in Pisces. We are going to see the Sun, Mercury, Saturn, Neptune, the North Node, as well as Venus all in this house this month. That means everything is pointing to you, your goals, your body, your boundaries, your needs. Very, very important. And Mercury, which rules your 7th house of relationships and the South Node, is going through your 1st house, which means your relationship with yourself, your health, your habits. That's what's most important. I'm giving you the okay to be selfish this month and next month. You've got eclipses that are in your 7th house next month that will possibly bring somebody back to you. So if you're like, I left my partner, I couldn't deal with it, I needed space, or I left my job, or I left a situation, let it kind of simmer a little bit and you'll see that people might come back to you next month. But right now you need to be way more in tune with what's going on with you. So first we see Jupiter go direct on the 4th. Okay, so that's going to give you more opportunity to expand emotionally with your home and your living situation. Then on the 23rd of the month, we're going to see Mars go direct. And Mars has been retrograde since December. It started retrograde in your health zone and your work zone, and it went back into your 5th house. So a lot of you guys are re-evaluating, what do I love? Do I want to start my own business? Do I want to get back into dating? Am I trying to get pregnant? Am I thinking about focusing on my hobbies? How can I learn about investing or trading? Because Mars deals with money and it also deals with learning. So I think that this has been a theme, maybe going back to stuff you've been studying as a hobby. That's another one. But when Mars goes direct, you know, gambling, love affairs, any speculative investments, anything in regards to self-employment, in theory, can go forward. And you'll see Mars is kind of harmonizing with planets in Pisces this month. So it's like the more that you're focusing on what you want in your vision, the more that you can kind of be in tune with seeing some of this stuff take off. Those of you guys who have been trying to get pregnant too, you might find that there can be opportunities for pregnancy now that Mars is direct. On the 23rd through the 28th, all planets will be direct for that couple-day period. Very short window, obviously before March, but still make the most of those days because we are going to find that the universe is allowing us to kind of move forward. And something to keep in mind is that Venus and Mercury will be in shadow, okay? So Mercury and Venus will actually go into your 2nd house between February and March, where you're focusing on money, resources, your personal style, financial security, and they will retrograde back into the 1st house. And something that I see pretty commonly when I see the North Node in the 1st house is that there is a new identity emerging. Maybe you've cut your hair, you've gained weight, you've lost weight, you had cosmetic surgery, maybe you just want to change your style. There's a new identity coming through. But your style is the 2nd house, and it's also your money. So knowing that planets are going to go into your 2nd house this month, and then in March they will retrograde, some of you guys are going to have an identity crisis, and you're going to think that if you buy new clothes, or if you color your hair, if you pierce your nose, you will be a different person, and you're going to find that it's expensive and unfulfilling, to be completely honest with you. So my advice is don't take any action crazy in terms of finances or changing your personal style, your appearance. Neptune can be about ink, so it can actually be about tattoos. You might get a tattoo that you regret, as much as I hate to say it, so don't do it. And you really need to be paying attention to how much money you're spending on your beauty routine, because you might be kind of scaling that back or making some changes in some department. Okay, so then we're going to see, in terms of lunations this month, you're going to have a full moon in Leo, and this will be happening on the 12th. at 24 degrees in your house of health, work, habits, pets, and routine. So full moon in the 6th house, you might change jobs, change something about your schedule. You could, end a job. There can be more of an emphasis on making time for creative projects, romance, and also your pets. And this one's a little sticky because it's going to oppose the sun in the 12th. So this is bringing up health and healing matters. And it's going to square Uranus, okay? So it tells me that there could be some mental stress going on that creates like issues with your schedule, some traveling or vehicle matters that create some issues with your schedule. And Uranus is the nervous system. So with Uranus in the 3rd house, some nerve issues with the hands and shoulders, nervous system issues, thyroid issues, issues with your throat or your voice, okay? The 3rd house is also lungs. So if you're sick and you're losing your voice and you're having trouble working, right, it could be that. So just some food for thought. So just be mindful of some scheduling changes, health changes that can happen with that full moon. Now on the 27th of the month, you're going to have a new moon in your sign. And this is really important because you get one new moon a year, so you can kind of focus on all of your goals, set those intentions, focus on that for the month ahead. And that really allows you to kind of go, okay, you know what? I'm focusing on me. It's brand new, new goals, new me, new appearance, whatever you want to do. It's ruled by Jupiter and it's going to square Jupiter. So it means that part of this new life that you're envisioning is about a new emotional landscape, a new home, a new way of emotionally relating to people, new surroundings. Maybe it's rearranging your home. You don't have to move, you don't have to go back home, but you might rearrange your apartment or your home. And this is also about being optimistic about some of the changes on the horizon for your home and for your family. Now in 6 months' time, this will become a full moon lunar eclipse. So that basically means that in the fall, you're going to have a full moon in your 1st house and the sun is going to be in your 7th house. Now, when this new moon comes through, it's going to trine Jupiter, which is the ruler, in your 5th, and it'll be exalted. I predict a lot of Pisces and Pisces risings are most likely going to be living with a romantic partner. I predict that some of you guys might be talking about getting pregnant or expanding your family. I also think that some of you guys are going to be feeling more joy, more happiness, once you have shaken out all of the dead weight over the next 6 months. But you have to prioritize yourself. Mars retrograde in the 5th is saying you have to focus on what's going to make you happy and cut out anything else. So use this new moon to focus on what's best for you, not necessarily other people, what's best for you. And in 6 months' time, you're going to have more happiness, you're going to have more romance, you're going to have more luck, you're going to have a lot more opportunity also, I think, for creative projects that are going to really broaden your horizons professionally to become very successful. Now, for other transits that you're going to see this month, on the 4th, Venus is going to go into Aries, so it's going to go into your money house where it's going to spend all month long. Venus likes the 2nd house. She doesn't do well in Aries, but I feel like this is making you feel more entrepreneurial and wanting to take more action when it comes to making money and also like increasing your spending abilities. I also can see that Mercury is going to go into your sign. So this is interesting because it does make you more communicative and chatty. It also makes you more intuitive. And Mercury rules relationships and family. So if you've been waiting for a partner to reconcile with you, if you've been waiting for a family member to call you or reconnect with you, like let everything come to you. Part of the retrogrades is letting people come back to you, letting home opportunities resurface, letting old relationship opportunities resurface. Let things come to you. That's my advice. And really focus on being in touch with yourself and listening to your emotions because your emotions are trying to tell you something. Then you're going to see on the 18th of the month, the sun goes into Pisces. It's Pisces season. So if you're a February Pisces, happy birthday. And this is just really kind of saying, hey, it's time to focus on my health, my habits, and and also it can be a turning point where prior to the Venus and the Mercury retrograde, you're aware of where you need to take better care of your health. And it can be specifically your immune system, developing a new morning routine, a meditation practice, taking care of your digestion or anything revolving around kind of stabilizing your energy levels, to be honest with you. Okay? Now, outside of that, on the 1st, we're going to see a Venus North Node Neptune conjunction. I love this in your first house. Take pictures of yourself. You're going to look beautiful, stunning. Neptune adds that kind of alluring nature. Venus is about beauty, very kind of sensual because it's your 8th house ruler. You're going to be tempted to invest in things to change your appearance. I really don't recommend it. Just put a filter on this day. Do something different with your hair or your makeup. Try to do something that's temporary. You know, I always say when you're getting ready to have eclipses connected to your first house or retrogrades in your first house, try it out first. Do a temporary tattoo, do a fake nose ring, you know, wear a wig, like things to see if you really like the changes that you're going to make, and see if that will suffice for right now. But bringing in more beauty opportunities for romance and sex and pleasure, and looking great with that conjunction. And you're feeling very romantic with that as well. You have to romanticize your life here. On the 9th of the month, you're going to see the Sun conjunct Mercury in Aquarius. This could mean that there is an unexpected dream, conversation, contact, or something that happens out of the blue. Like you'll wake up and you'll have a weird dream, or you'll have an email or a text from somebody that you didn't see coming. And it can be also about a conclusion or a completion in regards to a whole matter or a relationship. Very psychic that day. On the 10th and the 11th, there is some static because we are going to see planets in your 12th house of Aquarius squaring Uranus in your 3rd house of the mind. And the 12th house is where things go to rest, to complete. So with Mercury here squaring Uranus, there can be some shocking news about an ending or a completion in regards to a relationship or a coworker. And then the next day on the 11th, the Sun will go into the 12th house and square Uranus, which means shocking news revolving around some kind of conclusion or completion. Maybe something that deals with work, maybe an unexpected change with work, an unexpected change that happens in regards to a sibling, a neighbor, or a financial matter. Like unexpected financial news I could see here. And there can be some kind of like feelings of like, oh my God, this thing is coming to an end, you know, like what do I do? And Uranus is just saying, let it go. Your gut and your intuition is going to probably be on fire all month long, telling you like, I got to focus on me now. I can't get stressed out by what's going on with a partner or what's going on the news. Like I have to be zen and focusing on being in my bubble and staying grounded. Then on the 20th of the month, you're going to be seeing Mercury in your sign square Jupiter. I actually think this is good for you. You know, you're like, you know what? I really need to lean into my emotions and make a decision that's more emotionally based about where I'm going to be living, visiting, or staying. That's going to be making me the happiest. So it might mean that you get the hit that you're like, I got to go home, or I got to visit my sibling, or I got to, you know, go with my gut and go and visit this city or this town for a little bit and make sure that I like it and that it's a good fit for me for where I would potentially live. And you get the feeling or the urge to travel. Maybe you call a family member or a friend and you're like, what do you think about this town? Or what if I come and visit you? And I think it's going to actually be a day where things are going to work out pretty well if you listen to your intuition. And you have to listen to your gut on this because it'll be something that comes out of left field. Then on the 25th, you're going to see Mercury conjunct Saturn in your 1st house. So obviously you're maybe creating a boundary and how you communicate with a client. Maybe you're cutting off a therapist or an astrologer or a reader. Maybe you're firing an employee or you're letting go, you know, a business manager of some kind. You're like, that's it. This isn't working for me. We're good here. You may also create a boundary in terms of communication with your family. And you might say, you know what? Don't call me. I'll call you. I'm figuring out my plans. I'll let you know when I'm coming. But this is a time where your mind is a little more rigid and you're so goal focused because Saturn is about your goals that you may have to put yourself first and be like, no, that doesn't work for me. And you're going to be a little bit more critical. You can be a little bit more self-critical. And I would say just watch for that, you know, beating yourself up, being critical of your appearance, your body. There can be some heavier moods mentally. And just knowing that there's a new you coming in with the North Node in your sign, and you don't know who that person is yet because you're kind of wrapping up an old storyline of who you used to be, where you used to live, who you used to be in relationships with. Give yourself some grace, some patience, right? Because this is all going to be unfolding in March and April, and then there's going to be this new reevaluation of yourself and your life, and then you're going to be investing in who you're now becoming. So let's say goodbye to the old life. Let's say hello to what's coming in and kind of, you know, peel back those layers, as best as you can, and kind of be gentle with yourself is my recommendation. Okay. All right. It's going to be quite the month, but you're the star of the month, obviously. Quite a way to ring in your guys' birthdays if you're born in February. My goodness. Let's see what the cards say for you, my Pisces and Pisces rising. Oh, look at this sexy lady. Is that not Venus, Neptune? Hello, look at those titties. Venus and Aries. That's so funny. I'm going to get so slammed for this on YouTube. I mean, this is really needing to feel yourself, feel confident. So much about the retrograde from the 2nd to the 1st is knowing that you are good enough, knowing that you do have that thing. Stella's kind of getting her groove back too with Mars going direct in the 5th house, feeling kind of sexy. So could help be coming from a fire sign like an Aries, a Leo, or a Sag. Sure, of course. But this could also be you realizing that you're shifting out of being like, I feel like I've been done wrong, or I'm not seen, or I'm been victimized, or I've been kind of like, cast aside, to being like, no, I'm the main character. It's me, and she definitely gives main character energy. I feel like this is about being confident, being sexy, being courageous, feeling like you can make things happen. And the truth is that with all these planets in the 1st house, nobody's going to save you. You have to save you. You have to believe in you. You have to love yourself. You have to put yourself first. If you do this the next 2 or 3 months, I promise you, everything is going to work in your favor. You're going to get everything you want. But you have to really be in touch with what needs to go in order to usher in this new beginning that's going to be coming later in the spring. Hope that's helpful for you guys. Please let me know what plays out. I always want to hear from all of the 12 signs, but there's definitely a few signs this month that I would say it's going to get colorful for. As always, thank you guys for listening, for liking, commenting, subscribing, and sharing my work. That allows my channel to grow. It allows me to get more traction on YouTube, and it helps the algorithm. So make sure you give me that thumbs up. Let me know how the month plays out for you, what ends up manifesting. Watch for the twists and the turns. Be mindful that we're going to start feeling the effects of the eclipses and the retrogrades that are coming in early next month. And I cannot wait to connect with you in March for eclipse season, because it's going to be something else. So with that being said, enjoy the month of February. I will see you guys all very soon. You take care.